I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the Village Board meeting, Tuesday, March 25th. If we'd all stand, we'll have Trustee Sabo lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Did the ladies all check to see what color? Look at my. Uh-oh. Can you turn the handle?
Just say about the festival.
Let's double check, yeah.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa?
Present.
Trustee DeVivo?
Present.
Trustee Kajanis?
Present.
Trustee Sabo?
Present.
Trustee Schließ?
Present.
Trustee Yukich?
Present.
Mayor Daley?
Present. Are there any amendments to the agenda? This would be E1. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of January 28, 2014 meeting?
I so move.
First by Trustee Sabo, second by Trustee Schließ. Is there any discussion?
Yes, I do.
Okay, go right ahead.
On page 9, under the category of IDOT, the motion is paragraph 1 to the third paragraph. It says, Trustee Sabo distributed to the village board a comparison of existing lighting on 159th Street and what the board is considering for approval. Trustee Sabo stated that while the village will not be putting additional lights at the corner of 59th and Wilcook Road, which is shared with the village of Orland Park, who also does not want to pay for additional lighting at that intersection. Currently, there are traffic lights and one light at the corner. Now, the light is, I would like it to read because I said the light is on Wilcook Road at the corner.
Okay.
And then it goes on to say, existing lighting is also located on 159th Street and Bell Road and 159th and Parker, one light at each intersection. Then it says, in addition to lights on the side street at South Bell Road and Wilcook Road. Okay, that's, so I've had two inserts.
Okay, that second request of yours, one more time on that. What is the change that you're asking for?
Okay. It says existing lighting is also located on 159th Street and Bell Road and 159th and Parker Road. At these intersections, there is just one light each. I wanted to clarify that because I said there are only two lights on 159th Street from Parker to Wilcook Road, not counting traffic signals.
Okay, does anybody have any problems with the corrections to the minutes that Trustee Sabo mentioned?
Is this reflective off the tape and what was recorded, or is this reflective off notes that were turned in?
Well, this is what I said. And what I said was trying to clarify that at this time that there are only two lights that exist on 159th Street. The other two lights that exist are on side streets. I just wanted to make that clear.
Okay, Madam Clerk, did you hear this off the tape, or?
I listened to the tape. I did these minutes from the tape.
Okay,
I can double check. I'll be more than happy to double check.
okay. And
I would appreciate that. I called and I just called too late to discuss that with you, so I
okay,
apologize.
no problem. Okay, so the clerk is going to check, the tape, and I don't have any problems with somebody correcting, what they said. Does anybody have an issue with these two changes?
No.
If it's reflective on the tape.
Okay. All right, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Okay, is there a motion to approve the accounts payable for the period of February 27, 2014 through March 26, 2014?
So moved.
First by Trustee Costa,
Second.
second by trustee DeVivo. Is there any discussion?
I just had a couple of questions.
Go
I don't,
right
but
ahead.
Mr. Sawyers is not here, I don't know if he can help. It's on general funds, page 4. I was just curious, the computer software in the first paragraph, admin expenses of 6,700. Is that a new, is that a new software program? General fund, page 4?
Yes, trustee Suisse, I'll have to check on that and get back to you if I could.
Okay, and then my other comment, right paragraph below that, maintenance building, 3,100. And then the 2 total repairs underneath, other expenses. Usually when there's like $644 for meetings, usually they say who it's for, what it's for. And, you know, it's, you know, like in like mileage reimbursement, they usually say initials or what.
What page do
what
you
it's-
have on that one?
It's all on the same page, page 4.
Oh, there I see it, okay. Very good, I'll get back to you on all
Okay.
3 of those. Thank you.
I was just curious. Thank you.
Yeah, John did ask me if he could have a leave of absence tonight. He had to attend a wake, and it was quite far away, so we allowed him to do it.
Mayor, can I make a comment?
Sure, go ahead.
I think that for the benefit of the public and certainly for the board, it would be nice, if possible, and I know that's not always possible, but to get these questions to staff at least maybe the day before so that they can look this stuff up and we can have an answer right away. Because typically what happens is, you know, the village manager will get back to the trustee and
Nobody knows.
we don't know, and you know, what the answer is. I think that would probably be somewhat helpful if possible, if the trustees that have questions could get that question to staff prior to the meeting.
That would definitely help. John does an excellent job, and I'm sure he can explain to you any of these easy-to-answer questions, and I think it just sort of bogs down the meeting, so. if you could-
Madam,
Go
sir.
ahead, trustee Sabo.
On the other side, I mean, I do agree with that, saving time, but I also know that when a question is asked, there may be, that may be a question or a place that the other trustees don't know about and would like an answer, so then all of us can hear at the same time.
I think if I could just interject with you.
Go ahead.
The great thing about just knowing, even if it's like today, like an hour ago, is that I can get into the computer and look real quick. Sometimes it's, they just haven't put enough information in, or it's hidden a little bit. So if I just know, like, even an hour beforehand, I could get a better answer for you. Yeah.
Okay. Is there any other questions or discussion?
Just one other comment. The checkbook is posted, right? And it's for public?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Janis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukic?
Aye.
Okay, the next portion of this meeting is reports and communications from the mayor and other officers. Northern Will County Joint Water Agency meeting. The next Water Agency Board meeting will be held Monday, April 7th at 11 a.m. The meeting will be held at the Village of Lamont Village Hall, 418 Main Street in Lamont. I encourage anyone interested to attend. Under economic development updates, we've got some good news. Sleepy's, the mattress professionals, have signed a lease for a long vacant 3,100 square foot end cap commercial space in the south building at Homer Glen's Crossing Shopping Center. Sleepy's will be located next to our UPS store, Great Clips, and the AT&T store. Sleepy's is a privately owned 4th-generation mattress retail company with over 1,000 stores. The retailer is expanding in the Chicago market. The signing of this newest commercial lease will bring the south building at the Homer Glen's Crossing occupancy to 100%. Sleepy's is targeting a late spring opening date. This is great news to have another new retailer preparing to join the business mix here in Homer Glen. I look forward to yet another wonderful ribbon cutting in Homer Glen. I have some more good news to share. Homer Glen's own Victoria Foot and Ankle Specialist, currently located in the Bell Tower office condos, will be expanding their podiatry practice to a new, larger space at 15772 Bell Road. This expansion is a good example of continued positive growth in Homer Glen. Under the 143rd Street reconstruction project, Will County has a reconstruction project in the works for 143rd Street from Bell Road to Lamont Road. As many of you know, 143rd Street in Homer Glen is under the jurisdiction of Will County. Will County hosted an open house on January 29th at Hadley Middle School so that interested stakeholders could ask questions and voice their opinions. In preparation of that meeting, I asked the village staff to notify all the residents and business owners along 143rd Street. The staff notified Homer Glen stakeholders in a number of ways. First, a half-page color ad in the Homer Horizon was posted to notify the community about this important meeting. Information was also given to the local radio stations, and information was posted on the village's website. Economic Development Director Patch even hand-delivered announcement to all the businesses along 143rd Street. Finally, I sent to hundreds of property owners along 143rd Street about this open house public hearing. I sent a letter. All of our outreach efforts paid off as the public hearing hosted by the county was packed with Homer Glen stakeholders. Moreover, almost 100 residents submitted written comments to the county expressing their opinions, especially their opposition to the county's previously posted unmountable medians. As a result, the county has opted to eliminate all but 4 of the unmountable medians. The major intersections that will have unmounted medians are Bell Road, Golden Oak on the west side only, Parker Road, and State Road. Congratulations, Homer Glen stakeholders. I'm happy to see that this project now accurately reflects the needs of our community, and in the process has saved the taxpayers of Will County a significant sum of money. Under achievements, on Thursday, March 20th, I stopped by Victoria Village to wish Myrtle Orlando a happy 100th birthday. Myrtle was surrounded by family and friends when I presented her with a proclamation in honor of her special day. Although Myrtle couldn't be with us here to celebrate at the village board meeting, I did bring some photos back from the event to share with everyone this evening. Congratulations, Myrtle. Best wishes to you and your family during this happy occasion. And that concludes the mayor's report. How about we start with reports down with Trustee Costa?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to report for the Fest Committee. Of course, our Fest this year is planned for June 26th through the 29th. That's Thursday through Sunday. Committee's been working very hard securing all of our entertainment for the event. Tonight, I would like to name the bands that we have secured so far. Well, actually, 9 of them that we have secured for the 4 days. First, on Thursday night, Maggie Speaks, which anybody from the area knows. They're a wonderful band, and I think everybody would certainly enjoy them. On Friday night, we have 2 bands, starting with 80s Enough, and then High Infidelity would also be on Friday night. Saturday, we have 4 bands, Reverend Bob, Crazy Uncles, Sinister Finch, and Infinity for the last band on Saturday. On Sunday, 2 bands. We have Forecast and One of These Nights. So we've got some great bands. Most of them are local in this general area. Once again, we're going to have our parade on Saturday. Kicks off at 11 o'clock. Anybody that wants to be involved in the parade, if you're with an organization or a group in your community, even if just your family, you want to walk in there, just contact the Township Administration Office. They will get you an application to be in the event. Also, it's a great time if you need service hours. High school kids, if you need community service hours, it's a lot of fun. It's 4 days. You'll be directed on what you need to do. There's nothing difficult. It's just basically helping everybody, keeping the fest going. Any questions that you might have for times, it'll be up on our website, Township website, and shortly you'll start seeing posters go up in the community that will give you a full lineup of everything happening the weekend. Mr. Mayor, that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Costa. Trustee Yukich?
No report tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Trustee Sabo?
I'm reporting for the Environment Committee, and the first topic is Earth Hour. And Earth Hour is celebrated between 8:30 and 9:30 p.m. on Saturday, March 29th. There's information on the website about that and the number of links that you can find out more information, what other countries are doing all over the world. Get involved, join in, turn off non-essential lights between 8:30 and 9:30 p.m., save energy, and celebrate by candlelight. Help celebrate Earth Hour 2014 by joining your neighbors, business owners, and village officials as we join people around the world and turn off non-essential lights for 1 hour. This event is sponsored by the World Wildlife Fund and is the world's largest single campaign for a better future for the planet, building a future in which people live in harmony with nature. The Homer Glen Village Board passed a resolution in support of Earth Hour a while ago, realizing that the night sky is a natural resource and that light pollution interferes with that resource and is becoming a growing problem around the world. By joining in with people worldwide, business owners, village officials, and your neighbors, you can make a difference. Turning off non-essential lights helps to reduce the effect of carbon emissions released into the atmosphere for 1 hour. The next topic is Earth Day Arbor Day, and applications are on the website for the Earth Day Arbor Day celebration on May 17th from 11 until 4 p.m. at the Kona Farm in Homer Glen. The website has been updated. The information, the committee is seeking participants that meet the criteria of recycle, reuse, conservation, preservation, arts and crafts, and green products. Nonprofit organizations are encouraged to join, and you know somebody that would just fit the criteria, so I'm encouraging you to have them come forward. The committee is also seeking sponsors who will be honored for their contributions. The committee is expanding their volunteer base to accommodate parking, exhibitors, and activities, and that is my report.
Thank you, Trustee Sabo. Trustee Kay Janis?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This past week, at the Administration and Finance Committee, we discussed a fund transfer. One of the funds transfers was going to be for replenishing trees along our parkways in front of our homes in our residential neighborhoods. I do believe this is an important initiative of our community and our environment of our community, as emerald ash borer has and will devastate our trees, and has devastated many, many trees in Homer Glen. I do believe setting aside money for this, not only going forward, but helps replenish home values, potential home values in our community. I believe this initiative is very strong economics for our homeowners. And I wish to urge my fellow board members to vote with this initiative for replenishing of trees that we have lost along the parkways in our residential areas. Second, we've, Trustee Yukich and I have had several meetings on the liquor license. That is on the agenda, and I look forward to us presenting this case forward. This is an initiative that has started from comments from several board members, and I look forward to the dialogue as we move this process forward for our liquor license and our commercial property. As we look down the road, and I'm talking about 30, 60 days down the road, we're going to receive property tax bills to our homes. And as we look at our property tax bills, one of the direct relationships to property tax bills is our commercial development. These topics that we talk about in commercial development and real estate prosperity and valuation has a direct and unequivocal route to our property tax. So when we take this question up and we have our dialogue, I want us all to understand that. And I'd like the public to understand that as well. That's it, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Kay Janis. Trustee Suisse?
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Trustee DeVivo?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a comment, a couple of meetings ago, I made a suggestion that we were going to bring on more people to the Parks and Rec Committee, and I have two residents that have come forward and hope to have the information about them for the April 8th meeting. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes trustee reports, the mayor and trustee reports. Is there a treasurer's report?
Mayor, there is. Thank you. And I know that you mentioned it briefly, but I know that Director Sawyer's appreciated the opportunity to attend a family funeral or a friend's funeral this evening. So I'll report for him. At the end of February 2014, these are the cash and investments at the end of February for the various funds. General fund, $6,123,301.82. Motor fuel tax fund, $2,065,003.16. For the park fund, $879,877.49. And for the capital project funds, which obviously includes land acquisition, capital project, CAP bond, and tollway fund, $21,940,393.42 for a grand total of $31,008,575.89. Mayor, that is the end of the report. Thank you.
Okay, I would suggest if you do have questions about this, the treasurer's report, to contact John Sawyers, as, like I said, he's out tonight at a wake. All right, is there a clerk's report?
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Is the village attorney have a report?
No report this evening, Mr. Mayor.
How about any task force chairpersons? All right. How about any public safety officials? Okay. How about the village manager?
I have no report.
Okay. The next portion of this meeting would be public comment. Well, look at who we have here.
I love you.
Thank you. Okay, the first speaker would be Dennis Gerwin, excuse me.
Dennis Gerwing, 12250 West Derby Lane, Orland Park, Homer Glen. Briefly, this agenda comes out usually Friday or Saturday, and I've been told by a number of people that that's really not enough time for them to prepare for what's on here to give sometimes intelligent decision-making comments. I think it would be nice for all of you guys and some of us as well to be exposed to this agenda and have the topics discussed maybe 2 weeks later, so all of us have ample time to review what's on here. You're going to be asked to vote on something tonight, it looks like, item number 5, and we don't have a clue as to what you're going to be talking about or what it's going to be voted on, and consequently, we can't prepare to make any comments ahead of time because we don't know what it's about. I presume it's going to be about the liquor licenses for the gambling casinos that want to come in here. I'd like to point out a few things from the latest February report from the Illinois Gaming Board. The citizens of Homer Glen, for the month of February, lost a little over $50,000. Those are your neighbors. They lost 50,000 bucks. And I'm being generous here with using 24,000 as an estimated population. That means we lost $2.09 for every man, woman, and child living in Homer Glen. And what did we get back for that? We got 2,511 bucks. That's about 10 cents a head for every man, woman, and child living in Homer Glen. If there was ever a lousy investment, that would be it. We have 3 current companies looking to put 3 new casinos, and that's what they are, make no mistake about that, into Homer Glen on Bell Road, which means between 140th and roughly 157th and 158th, where Nick's is at, you're going to have a choice of 9 different places to gamble. And this is just the beginning. When the 159th gets finished in a few years, there'll probably be a lot of them wanting to go in over there. Plus the other one we have on 143rd, just west of Bell Road. This is becoming Vegas Midwest. And Bell Road will soon be Las Vegas Boulevard. I don't think we need this kind of crap in this town. Not at all. And I would hope that the changes you make to the liquor licenses make it extremely difficult for these mini joints to come in here and rape our citizens. Kevin Trudeau's got nothing on these people, let me tell you. Thank you.
Thank you. Kim, what day does the agenda go up on the website?
Fridays.
Fridays, okay. All right, the next speaker would be Steve Balich.
Steve Ballage, 12259 Derby Lane, Orland Park, 60467, so that means Homer Glen. I'm here as a representative of the county board. Mike Frizzalone's my counterpart. He's in Ireland. And he's out kissing the Blarney Stone. You know. But we did a good job on standing up for Homer Glen on 143rd Street. And now the next highway is Bell. And I did a lot of research. I emailed a lot of the people on the board. I came here today and talked with the mayor and staff. And the county's capitulated a whole lot on this road by making stubs wherever, I mean, they're going to make a cut, so there won't be any problems for any of the existing roads that we already have. So with the changes that are being made already, I don't see a problem. But if the board does see a problem and they vote to go ahead and fight the idea of having raised barrier medians, then the only other alternative is two-way left turn lanes. That's a different highway construction that I brought out and I told everybody about, just about. But you can't just tell them, you know, you can't have anything, so you have to have an alternative. That's the second best alternative to a raised barrier median. But a raised barrier median only will handle up to 28,000 cars, so that might be a problem in the future anyway. So, I said the wrong thing. The raised barrier median has to come after 28,000 cars. So right now you have an option of taking either one, but from what the county's doing, we won't have a problem with the raised barrier medians. And they said if business comes in that we need to make another cut in the barrier, they don't have a problem doing it. So, you know, it's up to you guys whether you want to have the raised barrier or not, but I don't think there's a problem with this one. And I'll be sitting in the audience if you have any questions, you know, during your hearing on it.
Okay, thank you. The next speaker would be Michelle Coakley.
Stop it, Bob. I always get nervous following Steve, but okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle Coakley. I'm the Chamber of Commerce president, and it's just been a couple months since I've been here to update you, so I thought I'd stop in and give a couple updates. So over the last 3 months, we've had 6 events, and we've supported 3 other member events. In addition, we worked with members and business owners to help with 143rd Street and now the Bell Road improvement conversations. So we're excited that we have been able to help members and business owners in those efforts. There's a lot of exciting things happening at the Chamber, I think, that will be able to share a lot more details in the future, but number one, we're going through a branding initiative that will roll out a new enhanced website in the summer, this summer, where we will reintroduce our newsletter, allowing businesses better communication and more marketing opportunities. Secondly, I want to thank the staff here for our consistent open communication with new businesses coming to town. We are starting a welcome wagon, per se, for new businesses and hopefully eventually new residents. We have over 25 businesses who are already willing to help us with that effort, putting together a nice basket to welcome new members into the community as far as businesses are concerned right now. To, you know, obviously help them feel welcome, but then also give them local resources to turn to if in the event that they need help with certain things. Lastly, I want to thank Trustee Kajanis for bringing me on to his meetings at the CEDC meetings. Of course, they're very interesting and a learning experience for me, but also I think it helps have a better connection between the Chamber and pro-business initiatives that are happening in the community. And we have an opportunity at that point to provide chamber member feedback to what is brought to the CEDC meetings as well, and just hear what's happening. So thank you. And then that's it. So thank you for your time, and we hope to see you all at the mayor's luncheon on April 8th at Woodbine. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. The next speaker would be Jody Edelman.
Hello, everyone. I'm new at this, so please bear with me. I'm not a public speaker. I represent Bellside, that little corner of the world on 159th and Bell Road that's going to be very disrupted pretty soon. There's 3 points I'd like to acknowledge to the trustees, and I think it's important that we discuss. It's wonderful, these raised medians that we can possibly take down. But we have a problem on 159th and Bell Road, and that is that IDOT and the county will be working on these 2 roads simultaneously. So, I think we've all been focusing on these medians, and we haven't been thinking about, wait, Bell Road's going to be affected from 159th to, I'm not concerned, is that 131st or 135th where where Cook County starts? That area, I would ask the mayor possibly to have the county, possibly maybe Steve, and see if they can work that way and work their way up. Because my problem is those business owners and like us and the big strip mall over there where Ed is, we're affected. We not only going to be hit by 159th, we're going to be hit by Bell Road. That's the first point of view. The second is Will County on Bell Road. Yes, they may take down these medians, but our opening, they're going to put a pork chop, what they call a pork chop, into my entrance. And I'm sure into where Nick's is. And what a pork chop is what maybe you don't know, is those a right in and a right out. How that affects me, Bellside, it doesn't allow us to go left. It doesn't allow those people heading south to go left in a pork chop. Along with that, I have lubricant trucks that come in and bring oil. They can't get out of that pork chop. So I'd like the county and the village to maybe come together and get something done with that. That's the second thing. The third thing I bring to the village, and that is that I know you guys have a temporary sign of 6 months, I think, possibly. Well, when I talked to IDOT, they said for sure this is going to be done a year and a half. Let's be honest, right? 2 years. We'll take that sign down, but I don't want to put another permanent sign. I don't know what the village is going to do, but we may need a temporary signage for that length of time for me to have a sign for Bellside. So, 3 issues. I just thought I'd let you know.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think if I'm correct, some of this, they have a full entryway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The county changed their plans, and actually IDOT and the county changed their plans, and that's some of the things we'll be discussing for the.
You changed the plans to.
Okay, and then one other statement that was made here that I think you may be a little bit confused on is, my understanding is that the intersection will be done first. I don't believe that they're going to run these 2 projects simultaneously. IDOT is doing the intersection in coordination with the county. IDOT is going to do the intersection all the way back to, 151st, or what is it, Mike?
IDOT is going to take their intersection to roughly about where Nick's is at.
Right.
And then the county is proposing to do basically from that point to just south of 151st Street.
Yeah.
And that's what's planned for this point.
And do you believe that they're going to do these things exactly the same time, or?
There might be a little bit of work between the two, because IDOT's gonna end their improvements, so then the county can extend theirs. I'm not exactly sure to what extent.
We can definitely make them aware that there's gonna be a lot of disruption, you know, if we can have one project at a time work and, you know, that type of thing. Okay, and you might want to talk with Cam about the full access to your business, because they did change the plan. All right, that concludes public comment. The next portion of this meeting is legislative and action items. This would be, let's see here, I-1. Is there a motion to direct the finance director to initiate the traditional proposed year-end general fund transfers in accordance with mayor and village board standard operating procedure number 02 with 75% or $1,500,000 of the general fund's excess surplus transferred to the Park and Recreation Fund and 25% or $500,000 of excess surplus transferred to the Capital Fund for the purpose of an EAB tree restoration fund.
So moved.
First by trustee Kajanis.
Second.
Second by trustee, I believe that was Sabo. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please, oh, go ahead. You, trustee Sabo, you do me a big favor if you just say, yes, Mr. Mayor, I have something to say, because I got Mark sitting up here, like, it's hard to see, and you wave your hand.
Well, I believe you're moving a little fast, so if you could give me a second to say, I'd like to speak.
Yeah, good.
Okay.
That'll help me.
All right, very good. I see that, I appreciate trustee Kajanis' support of the tree planting, because the Environment Committee has been working on the tree survey, and we now know how many trees there are affected by the emerald ash borer. We do not know how many there actually are in the whole village, because the survey was not for private land. And I see that it's designated at $500,000 to be transferred for the EAB Tree Restoration Fund. I would like to know how that figure was derived at, and then it's specific in its purpose. And then the other transfer is to the Parks and Recreation Fund. We all know we need that kind of thing in our village, and the committee has worked very hard on what they have done so far. I just would like to know, it isn't specific as to what that park, that $1,500,000 would be spent on. So I just would like some clarification.
I'll let the village manager take that one.
Sure, very good. Well, the SOP allows the money to be only transferred into a couple places: Park and Recreation, land acquisition, or capital. So last year, I think your major transfer was into land acquisition. And so on the committee level, we discussed the great needs of the Park and Recreation Committee, because although the Park and Recreation Committee has $800,000 approximately, you saw it on the report tonight, almost all of that money is already spoken for. Okay, so in reality, the fund has almost zero. You have a park that you've already got commitments from, and a grant from the state that we have to have matching funds from, and that's in that fund. You've committed to the South Trail, which we're already well into, which the money comes out of that fund. So the 1.5 is basically to replenish the Park and Recreation Fund, which you've made transfers to before, so that there's money in that fund for you to do future park projects. The $500,000 was a staff initiated amount, and it was really fairly simple. I looked at the tree survey that was done on public property, and you see that there's basically 670 some odd trees that are either poor, very poor, or dead ash trees. And ask around for those communities who have replacement programs and are buying trees in bulk, and approximately how much is being spent on both planting and purchasing. And you come up with a number right around $600 a tree, and you just kind of do the math, and that takes you to over $400,000 just for 676 trees. And that isn't the full scope of either the ash trees that will be that will die in the future or will be in poor condition in the future, or all the maples and oaks and all these other trees that we're having that just because of their natural lifespan are dying in the parkways. So that's where we came up with it, and also just thinking that, obviously the board and the committee and the board will have to come up with a program. But we, unless you have money, you might as well not talk about a program. So this is setting aside some money so that a program can be put in place, and it would be a restricted fund in the capital, kind of similar to your tollway fund and stuff like that.
So the whole thing behind it, Trustee Sabo, is that it's a starting place. This no way is going to solve the issue of our parkway trees. I mean, this is just the beginning of where we're putting some money into a line item in a fund until we have a program in place in which the money will move into that program.
Yeah, yes, because after the survey, that was the next step. I mean, there's no reason to have a survey if you don't do something with it. But it does not include some things, and I know you're working on your budget. The cost of watering these trees that are planted is high. So are you budgeting for the watering?
Well, the $500,000 transfer into that fund will sit in that fund until the mayor and the board establish a program to utilize those funds, which might be, very soon, or it might take a little while. But the goal of this action tonight that you're taking is just to acknowledge that obviously it's going to take some money to take care of these parkway trees, and to set it aside so that when you have the program, you can spend it on trees, you can spend it on planting, you can spend it on watering, whatever the program that you develop says.
Just to inform everyone that the Environment Committee has already, or is in the process of looking at more grants for tree planting, now that we have taken that big step to have the survey. So that might augment this, and then we might get more trees planted.
Okay, sounds good. All right, is there any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Kajianis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be I-2. Is there a motion to direct Mayor Daley to send the attached letter addressed to CMAP stating that the Village of Homer Glen does not object to the City of Lockport's filing of a facility planning area FPA amendment? It is understood that the area of the City of Lockport would like to add to their FPA is outside of the Homer Glen boundary agreement limits and within the existing City of Lockport boundary agreement limits.
So moved.
First by Trustee Yukich, second by Trustee Sabo. Is there any discussion?
I have a question, Mayor.
Go right ahead.
I was just wondering, how can we state a no objection letter if we don't understand what's this request actually for? I mean, we're giving up, maybe we're giving up a means to object or protest. This is something that's planned right on our borders.
This is a facility planning area. This is it's on their side of the boundary agreement.
Right, but, right. It's
All
in their property.
they're doing with their FPA is they're amending it to reflect this piece of property. We have nothing to do with that piece of property.
Well, right.
Let's put it this way, their original FPA, maybe, I don't know when the last time they amended it.
It's very common for communities to expand their FPAs into unincorporated areas that have no FPA designation. And so what you're doing with this is kind of like a good neighborly thing to do. What you're doing is you're just acknowledging to CMAP and to the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency that you're not opposed to it. Your annexation agreement with Lockport says that everything that's on their side, they're to provide water and sewer service to. So your annexation agreement kind of already says that. So it's kind of a good neighbor thing to do. If you didn't do the letter, it wouldn't make a difference really. So it's kind of a good neighbor thing. I know that in my previous community, we expanded our FPA a couple times, and we asked some communities for acknowledgments like this. I think it's kind of a standard thing that happens. They've asked Romeoville and Lamont for the same letter if they could.
So it's not mandatory that we have to follow through?
No.
Actually, if I have it correct, and correct me if I'm wrong, the the entire unincorporated area that isn't serviced by sewer right now is in Lockport's FPA. Is that correct?
I'm not 100% sure on that, but.
Well, the wastewater treatment plant is in Lockport.
Yes. Right.
Yeah, and I believe they have some, they had an agreement with Illinois American, but I believe the whole, within our boundary agreement where Illinois American ends right now, I believe for sewer is Lockport's FPA.
Correct.
Yes.
There are sections, yes.
Not the water side, but that's not an FPA.
Right.
Right.
There's some sections in there that are not covered by any FPA for some reason.
Right.
That's just,
Very common.
yeah, it's kind, I guess.
Which will be amended at some point,
At some
like
point,
this.
yeah, like this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, at some point it would have to be.
The state actually usually looks favorably on these things, because this means that there will be less land that will be serviced by well and septic, so it'll be on a system that will more adequately treat it and that will be regulated.
Right.
So.
Right. Okay.
Well, I just had a question.
Go ahead.
Okay, so, to just, I know the trustee Suisse had some concerns. It's good to have agreements, but do we know the whole story here? Are we sure that it does not affect any of our roads? Doesn't affect anything except what they're doing. They're just getting more people into their facility to provide sewer and water if they want it, or to annex them in. But otherwise, it doesn't affect us in any negative way.
Correct.
It's also that they can service property that's on their side of the boundary agreement, so that property can develop in whatever way they choose.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually expansion of FPAs is pretty common, especially in areas like Homer Glen and Lockport, where you have a lot of unincorporated land that's adjacent to you. It's pretty common.
Okay.
Okay, does that answer your question?
Yes, but I still think that we don't know the whole story here.
What I can tell you of my knowledge of it is that this is clearly on their side of the boundary area. This expedites their correction of paperwork showing the FPA with these properties in it, and they really don't need anything from us besides they've asked for basically a letter of support saying that we don't object to it. It's not on our side of the boundary.
I see the map.
Yeah.
It's very clear. It's just that I just feel we just never know everything.
Okay, well, we're going to need Lockport in the future to service our sewer line to the unincorporated area, and that is basically the good neighborly thing that we should be doing, because at some point in time, we're going to have to sit down and discuss rates and what have you when they're servicing the unincorporated area.
Certainly, I hope they will cooperate with us.
Well, we have a couple of agreements with them that they can't charge anything more than they charge their people. So there are some documents out there, but this is a neighborly type of thing.
And well, good.
Okay. All right, is there any other discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Kate Janice.
Aye.
Trustee Sabo.
Aye.
Trustee Suisse.
Aye.
Trustee Yukich.
Aye.
Trustee Costa.
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo.
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be I-3. Is there a motion to authorize the village manager to petition the Plan Commission to initiate a text amendment that would amend the temporary sign regulations to permit the use of feather banners?
So moved.
First by Trustee DeVivo.
Second.
Second by Trustee Kate Janice. Is there any discussion?
I have a couple of things there.
Sure, go right ahead, George.
Right now, they're not approved in our ordinance. So there's a note on here that some businesses have come forward to ask for these. What businesses have come forward so far?
Well, there's actually, there's certainly businesses that have come forward, but there are a lot of businesses that really don't come forward and just utilize them specifically on weekends. So you see them at Jiffy Lube, you see them at the hair cutting place up the street, you see them at Dunkin' Donuts, you see them at Menards, you don't see them a lot during the week, because during the week, John has visited them, or Aaron has visited them, or they've gotten letters, and they know that that's not the right thing to do, because it's not in our ordinance. You can't currently have fluttery signs, in our ordinance. But what's happening is on weekends, like when I was here this past Saturday and I drove through, I saw them everywhere. And they're becoming very popular signs for businesses. And so the acknowledgement is that either one of two things has to happen. Either we really have to really come down harder on enforcement and get all these businesses that currently use them to stop using them even on weekends, like bringing in staff on weekends to police them. Or I think what the Economic Development Committee is asking you to do is to send it through the Plan Commission, have it come back to the board to look at it to see if we can't, in a controlled way, allow the use of these, kind of acknowledging the fact that these have become the new banner for businesses to use, not just in Homer Glen, but, you know, everywhere. So that's and I think, you know, at the committee level, they had quite a bit of discussion on sizes and things of that nature. And I would assume that the Plan Commission would have those discussions too. But that's basically what it is. From a staff level, we would just like to know what direction we need to go on it. You know, if we're going to move towards making them legal, or we're definitively not and they're absolutely illegal, then we really need to up our enforcement, because there's a lot of Homer Glen businesses that are using them, especially on weekends.
And if I may say so.
Hold on a second. Trustee Yukich, are you finished?
No, I got a couple more things, but if Ted wants to.
No,
Go ahead.
I'll yield
Go
to
ahead.
Trustee Yukich.
Some of the businesses that do want them, they have really no place to put them. So that means they have to go all the way up to 159th, or they have to go up to Bell Road to put it on basically the Parkway.
Well, they have to continue to, they would still have to abide by our temporary sign ordinance, which means that they have to put it on the lot that the business is on. There's still other guidelines. They can only have it up for so long. They have to get a permit. You know, they would still have to abide by all those temporary sign requirements.
Right.
It's just that right now, you know, by the letter of the law, they're not allowed. And while we're getting enforcement during the week, when we leave at 5 o'clock on Friday, you know, signs seem to appear.
All right. The only reason I say it is I fixed a few cars due to feather banners.
Oh.
Because at nighttime, they have a bigger problem because they see something all of a sudden start moving around. They think it's a person, they swerve and they hit another car. So it's something that's not real safe up on pretty much anything that's doing more than 35, 40 miles an hour. I understand that they're very, it definitely grabs the attention, but if it also grabs the attention, it also grabs the driver's eyes off the road onto the side of it. So I'm looking at it from a safety point of view. If they wanted to do it, you know, I know the businesses that are sitting back off of Bell Road or 159th Street, you kind of need something to stand out a little bit, but where would they put it? If you took something like Jewel, where would Jewel put one?
Right. Well, actually, I'll give you a couple of good examples. Actually, Janie helped me out. I'm forgetting the name of the haircutting place up the way.
Hair cutlery?
Flair? Hair Flair? What's? Total Look. So Total Look has had one up against their business that they've put up occasionally that's right on their business. They have some brackets on the building that they slide it down in. And I think Charter Fitness has done the same thing. I saw that on Saturday when I was in town. They had it, I think, in some brackets that are on the building. They slide it down in, some circular kind of brackets. So I've seen them attached to buildings in town. I think the more common, though, is to put them out, you know, on the edge so that they're closer to the road.
Okay.
Hold on, let's George.
No, that's pretty much what I had on it, because my concerns are, like I said, the safety end of it, because people already talk on the phone, people already texting on the phone, people always eat while they're driving. Now they're looking for signs on the side of the road. It only takes a second to rear end somebody else.
Well,
Okay. Trustee K.
yes,
Janis?
they're not allowed to text, nor are they allowed to speed on the road.
Doesn't mean they don't do it.
But they do it anyway. When we took this question up on CED, we understood back at the day with the temporary sign that signs are for a purpose, and they are basically for attention getting. We have to know that. If the consumer doesn't know the business is there, the business is not going to survive unless it's a telemarketing business and they do everything by phone. So we have to understand retail business on attention getting. This feather banner that has become very popular across the country, not only in our community, but across the country in our region, it's for attention getting. So the only difference between what we want to call a feather banner or a sign, a banner that flutters in the wind, is nothing different. A sign that is a banner that flutters in the wind is a fluttering banner. The feather banner has more of an attractive appeal. We discussed safety. We do have safety issues that we discuss, and there are setbacks that we have off the right-of-way. So we discussed that. We discussed height of the feather banner, not to block vision of driveways or public right-of-ways. So we just discussed that. So we did discuss all these. What these feather banners, it's either or. They could have the 91 days throughout 365 days a year of a feather banner, or they could have a banner that we have in our ordinance for 91 days out of 365 days a year for the promotional purposes. And that's what it really comes to. It's the style. It's all about styling what they need for their promotions. That's why we put forward this recommendation.
Are you finished, Trustee Kajans?
Unless someone else would like to yield some more time to me.
Yeah, go right ahead. Knock yourself out.
No, I'm done. I'm being facetious.
Trustee Costa wanted to say
Just a few comments we do have in here that, because it seemed to me as you drive around other communities too, that it seems like the feather banners are more probably susceptible to fading. I think just the nature of the type of material, so we do have it in there. It's got to be in good condition and not ripped or anything, but if you really pay attention to a lot of the banners, it seems like they're coming in franchised type businesses, because I'm sure they're not inexpensive. They're probably quite expensive to make one of a kinds. And it seems like there's a lot of promotional, so you can see that this is pretty much everywhere you go. Your gas stations have specials going, your tire places have specials going, things like that. So, and again, as long as it looks decent, it's not all faded and ripped, not an issue. Thank you.
I have a comment.
Trustee Suisse?
Yes, I think they add to the clutter because of the height. And I don't know if the village wants to have this as their image, because the new manager even said these video places which are popping up now on Lamont Road and on State Road, I mean, they enjoy these feather banners and they're all over it. I don't know if the village wants to see that all the way up and down Bell. I can understand businesses, but I don't think that's a good look for the village.
Okay, my comment to it is that there would have to be a limit, to how many banners they could have. As Trustee Costa mentioned, has to be maintained in good condition. But it seems to be a very popular thing to advertise for their signage, and I don't really have a problem with it. Trustee Sabo?
This is the latest fad in signs. I really don't think they're as effective as a banner. A banner, in most cases, is going to stand there. It's supported by two posts, sometimes one in the middle. The feather signs that I have seen don't stand up straight. They fade easily. Sometimes you can't see the words because of the way the wind is blowing. Replacement is an issue. And since that we want them to be maintained, the compliance officer is going to have more responsibility. They look unattractive. I mean, if you put one in this room and you had it in here, it would look pretty, but on the outside, they don't. They look tacky. And stationary signs do a much better job. I don't think they have the aesthetic appeal, and if you see them all up and down the road, is that the image that Homer Glen wants to portray? I feel that it's clutter. I've always been concerned about signs and clutter. So far, what has been done with temporary signs has not been a problem. These will be a problem. They're going to be waving at you everywhere. And they're not going to stand up straight. And you won't be able to see exactly what they say. They are not like stretching a banner across or a sign that you put in the ground.
Okay, the one thing that I need everybody to understand is this motion just sends the matter to the Plan Commission for their review. It definitely comes back to the village board. So in my opinion, I'd like to hear what the Plan Commission has to say about how they feel it'll look in our community. That's why we have a Plan Commission.
Well, Mr. Mayor, when the Plan Commission gets something from the board, they think the board is in favor of it. This has happened so many times. And so that's the way they view it. And then it comes back to us, and then they assume we're going to be voting yes on it.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I think the word to them is that the issue of feather banners, some trustees look at it as not an issue. Some trustees really don't, like the issue. But we like to have the Plan Commission weigh in and see what they have to say.
I think we set policy.
We do, but we have a Plan Commission to review things, and that's the process. Things go to the Plan Commission, then they come to the village board. If we're just going to cut out the Plan Commission, then why do we have a Plan Commission?
I don't think the Plan Commission is making policy. I don't think this should be sent to the Plan Commission. I'm very much against this.
Oh, okay, well, we're going to have a vote on it here shortly.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. All right, is the discussion over with?
Well,
Trustee DeVivo?
just a comment, maybe this will help, but certainly what we've said here, or what you guys have said, bring it to the Plan Commission. Make sure that they hear the comments that have come from the board.
Well, they can also be supplied with the minutes of this meeting.
Sure.
You know, I mean, they can read what everybody had to say.
Just to make sure that they know.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Sabo?
No.
Trustee Suisse?
No.
Trustee Yukich?
I say yes as long as it comes back to us, which it will.
Yeah.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee K. Janice?
Aye.
Motion carries. This will be sent to the Plan Commission. I suggest at the request of a couple trustees that the minutes be also sent, so they can see the different comments from the trustees, okay? That's fair. All right, this would be I-4. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 14-012, an ordinance amending ordinance number 05-032, the purchasing policy statement ordinance for the Village of Homer Glen, Will County, Illinois? It is understood that this purchasing policy statement allows for the following spending limits. Department heads may approve purchases up to $1,000. The finance director may approve purchases up to $2,500. The village manager may approve purchases up to $5,000 or $10,000 for professional service contracts. And from $5,000 to the state bid limit, currently $20,000, the village manager and mayor can co-approve the purchase. And the village board's approval is required for the state bid limit or greater.
I so move.
First by trustee Sabo.
Second.
Second by trustee K. Janice. Is there any discussion? Madam,
Yes.
Go right ahead.
At the last meeting, in February, I made the motion and I attempted to amend the motion. And I was told that the exact wording had to be in place, and so that I should talk to the attorney, which I did. And I sent in my amended changes. And the amended changes, some of them are reflected, and then some of them are not. So I would like to go through each one. I had increased in my motion, or attempted to increase in my motion, that the department heads then would be increased up to $1,000. And that, and that is here. That makes for better follow-through, and we should, so I agree with that because that's what I had tried to amend. The second one was for the financial officer, and so originally, or currently, it is $750 to $1,500, and I had said to increase that to $2,500. So when I look on page 5, do we say instead of for the financial officer 1,001 to 2,500 because we end with the one before at 1,000?
That'd be a question for the village attorney.
The finance director is a department head, so it covers the full.
Say that again.
The finance director is a department head, so it covers the whole.
I'm talking about if it ends at 1,000,
It should
the
have been
one before that.
1,001.
Do we start with $1,001?
The finance director is a department head, so the finance director starts at 0 and goes up to 2,500. He's
All right.
included in that.
Okay,
other
okay,
one.
I
Yeah.
understand. So it can be left at 1,000 to
Right.
25.
Right.
Okay. And in the current, before, and according to this chart here, the finance director could, it was the finance director alone, but now it states on page 5 that it's the finance director or the village manager. So is there a reason for that? That's a change.
Well, I mean,
That is a change from the current ordinance.
it just means both of us.
Yes, it does mean both of you.
Yeah.
Is there a reason for both of you and not just him?
Well, at some point you want to say what the village manager's authority is too. That's why the village manager's wording is in there.
All right, then going to, the next level was the village manager. Currently it's at $1,500 to $5,000, signed PO required and 3 written price quotes. And so now it would be $2,500 to $5,000. That's the same limit the manager had before. Village manager approved purchasing order. What's crossed out is except for professional service contracts because those are listed later. Informal purchasing requirement is 2 or more price quotes, oral quotations will be documented. In the original one, it says 3 price quotes. I would like that to remain at 3 price quotes. And then getting into the second page, page 6, it's the dollar amount is $5,000 to the state bid limit, and it says, and so what that was, says village manager and mayor co-approval, and I wanted the village manager and the mayor to co-approve that, so that is something that I had agreed to do in the amendment with 3 written price quotes. The next one is the state bid limit or greater. The board approves that, and that is the same as the current one. It's the same as what was proposed last month. Then getting into professional service contracts under $10,000. This is a new one because that I didn't see it in February, that the village manager can approve professional service contracts. I would like that also to read and mayor to be consistent. The next one is 10,000 or greater. Village board approves it. That's the same as it was before. An emergency under 10,000, it's the same with the village manager can issue a purchase order number, 3 quotes, and then 10,000 or greater emergency poll the village board and mayor for approval. 1 quote is required if it's an extreme emergency. So again, just to simplify, my changes are that that 2,500 to 5,000 require 3 purchasing, 3 or more quotes, and that the professional service contract for under 10,000 require the village and mayor signatures.
Well, all I can tell you is we tried to accommodate you on the, the language that you brought forward before to a certain extent. This is very consistent with other villages. Maybe the village attorney who has represented many villages can comment on that.
Well, I'm thoroughly confused.
Let's let the village attorney finish.
Okay.
I mean, the numbers are, I would say that the numbers are fairly consistent with what is, what's provided for other towns. And I don't think that the staff recommendation is out of line or inconsistent with what most other municipalities have.
I only had 2 simple changes, and that was
Well,
for
you
the
rewrote the whole thing
2,500 to 5,000, that it requires 3 quotes, and that the mayor be included under professional services with the village manager. That's how simple it is.
Trustee, well, it sure doesn't sound like that. It took a half
Well,
hour
I had
put
to
it
go
on.
over everything.
Go ahead, Trustee K. Janice.
I don't know. I'm not quite sure if the description of the motion was slow or the whole process is to be attempted to be slowed down. I'm not quite sure. But as it's written, I understood it quite well. We did have that motion in front of us on Administration and Finance. We had some discussion on that. We also know that our village and our treasurer is award-winning. We also know our village is held in high esteem for transparency, especially when it comes to the checkbook. And as the exercise at the beginning of our meeting on the treasurer's report went through the checkbook, and we approved it and asked questions and had dialogue on this, that we also get at will if trustees come in and start talking and having questions with staff. So as far as open and transparent, see, I think we're there. I think we are there. We could add next week, next month, next year, all kinds of language. So I'm not quite sure if the motion description comes across slow, or the purpose is to slow things down. There's a dynamic there. So I put a second in on the motion to accept the motion, and that's where I stand.
So we have a first and a second for the way the motion was written. Trustee Sabo wanted to amend it. Who was the first on the motion?
Trustee Sabo.
Okay.
I am.
So Trustee Sabo, are you withdrawing your first on this motion?
Well, I would like to just ask the attorney a question. When I read the motion and look at it, the numbers are all the same. There's not a change in numbers, and for Trustee Kajanis, there's no purpose here in slowing anything down. Things have to be purchased on time. You want things to go well. I haven't done anything to the numbers. That was straightened out already. But I am looking at the chart, which goes into detail on who is to approve. And I only have two changes on that chart. So should that be added to, when I amend this, should that be added to the motion?
So your motion should be, I move to adopt this ordinance with the following two amendments,
Okay,
which need not be restated since they've been discussed already.
okay. I move to adopt, I am amending the motion. I move to adopt this motion,
No, to adopt the ordinance
to adopt the ordinance
with two amendments
with two amendments
that have already been discussed.
that have already been discussed. And I don't have to name them?
Not unless anybody has a question about what the amendments happen to be.
No, but Ted was the second on the original motion. Does he have
So
to?
he's withdrawing the second. Is there anybody who wants to second the motion as presented by trustee Sabo?
You're asking if somebody wants to second?
No, I have the second. I
On the
control the
original-
second.
on the
On the
original
original
motion.
motion, so I would have to second or amend my second.
No, do
And
you
I-
want to, does anybody want to second the motion?
I
as
am
presented?
seconding that motion.
Okay, great. So now we have a motion to adopt the ordinance with two amendments proposed by trustee Sabo, and there's a second by trustee Vagianis.
Okay, is there any further discussion?
I just have one question.
Go ahead, trustee Yukich.
Why are we bumping it up to $20,000 when, see, this is where I'm a little uncomfortable. We are elected officials and we are here to make sure that we watch out for the residents. And we're basically approving the village manager to spend up to $20,000, and that's not just one time, it could be multiple times. So all I'm trying to figure out is why are we approving $20,000 where something could be multiple without us even knowing about it? We're gonna find out about it after the fact. When we're not spending our money, we're spending the taxpayers' money.
That's currently the state bid limit.
It's current.
I understand it's the state bid limit, but we don't have to follow everything the state does. The state's broke.
We're not.
We're not, George.
All right,
And
but-
it also, it states the village manager and mayor can co-approve the purchases. This is very consistent with most villages. I don't see anything that is upside down about this. Trustee Sabo wanted to add a couple more signatures to it or authorizations to it. Now, you're concerned about the 20,000 state bid limit. If we can't get to the bottom of this, then we need to table this, because, I mean, we're just carving this thing up and rewriting it.
You can go
as
for a
we go.
vote. It doesn't bother me.
Well,
I call for a vote.
well,
Okay. We have we're calling for a vote here. Madam Clerk,
well, you know,
Please
that's
call.
really not fair, because
just
he's
said
brought
he-
something up that I'm questioning, and I amended the motion.
and he just
Then we had
said
a
his
second on it.
concern, he said, go ahead and call for the vote.
I know, but I have a concern now.
Now, what's your concern?
My concern is, I wanted to ask trustee Kajanis, trustee Yukich. He's concerned about the state bid limit of 20,000 and giving permission to the village manager, and that's the amended, well, no, 10,000 or greater, the village board must approve. So now I'm confused because I thought 10,000 or greater meant that the board would be approving that. But he is saying that the state bid limit or greater still requires board approval. So I'm trying to figure out what trustee Yukich is trying to alert me to.
Well, Mayor, all it is that the wording on it is a little screwed up. And we haven't had it this way ever before. I don't feel the need right now.
changing.
So that's just my own opinion. I am not comfortable with anyone being able to strike a check for 20K at a crack. If they want to write 20 in a day, they can write 20 in a day. I'm not comfortable with it. That's all it is. I would like it to be brought before the board, because after all, we are responsible for all this.
But
I'm just
To
talking
what-
about
to what limit are you talking about where it has to come to the board?
anything between 10 and 20 grand, and obviously anything above $20,000. We're not spending our money. We're spending their money.
What is the what is the current, what do you call it, practice? Do you have it there, village attorney?
No. I don't know what your current.
Cam, do you have the current ordinance?
It's right, I mean, it's right here before you. It's in the black language. The only changes are shown is the wording that's coming out is crossed through. This is similar to what you saw last time. The only difference is that Heather inserted 20,000, where in the past it said state bid limit, state bid limit, state bid limit. And she put in the 20,000, which maybe some people didn't know that 20,000 was the state bid limit.
So
It's been
nothing,
the state bid limit
Nothing's
for a long
changed.
time.
so you're saying nothing
But
has changed?
Nothing's changed.
my thought process on this, you know, we've sat through 2 board meetings on this. It was not my intent, it was not John and my intention when we tried to update this policy, that it would lead to so much consternation. If this is a problem, we'll stay with the current purchasing policies and take this off the table. I didn't mean for this to turn into a huge issue. We were just trying to update the policy. So it was more in line with adjoining communities. So my suggestion as a village manager, if you want to take it, is to table it permanently. We'll go back to the previous policy, which has been working, I guess, okay for years, and we'll just move on to our more important issues.
Okay, but this.
That would be my suggestion. I would actually personally, since I started this, I'd rather that happen, and you focus on the other very important issues on your agenda than spend any more time on this. We'll just stick with the policy we've been doing for years, and if it pleases the board, that's just my
With me.
recommendation.
That's okay with me.
Okay,
Motion to table the ordinance.
well,
So moved.
yes.
First by trustee Yukich.
I second.
Table it. Or we can get rid of it.
Sorry,
No way.
Is there a second?
Yes, second.
Take
There
it.
is no discussion of it coming off the table. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Suisse.
Aye.
Trustee Yukich.
All right.
Trustee Costa.
Nay.
Trustee DeVivo.
So
Trustee
if we
DeVivo.
say no, what are we doing?
The existing policy.
So let's go back to the existing policy?
Yes.
Nay.
No,
Okay.
no, you have to say yes to table it.
Oh,
Otherwise,
yes to table
otherwise
it?
The motion and the motion to adopt the
If we go
ordinance
back to the-
is still in play.
Okay,
yes.
so if we say yes, you go back to the
To
original
table.
policy.
We're tabling it. We're not going back to anything.
If you vote yes, you're voting to table it. If you vote no, we go back to the original motion and vote.
No.
Okay.
Trustee Kajanis.
Nay.
Trustee Sabo.
I vote yes to table it, to agree with the manager.
Okay, so what is that, a 3 to 3?
3-3.
Right,
I vote not to table it.
okay. So now we're back to the original motion to adopt the ordinance as amended by trustee Sabo.
Okay, now I'm still back at this question of where it shows the 20,000. Does it show it in the ordinance if it says 20,000? Because I do not see it on the chart.
Kim, you're saying that the current ordinance,
Well, when it references state bid limit,
That's
current
the
state bid limit is 20,000.
and what
so-
Heather did, and that's what we have in place, correct?
I want to find it in here.
Oh, okay, let me just
It
ask the
isn't in
question.
there.
And that's what we currently have, right, Kim?
Trustee Sabo doesn't know.
On page 5, at page 5 and 6, it shows the existing policy. The existing policy is crossed through where there is stuff that's removed, and the blue is new language. So I mean, I'm not certain what the questions are. They're right here on these 2 pages.
I'm sorry, I just want to see where, I'm looking on page 5, and
Well,
I,
on 6, it says dollar amount, 5,000 the state bid limit, regular purchases.
oh, I see.
I think
Page
it's
6.
the actual amount of the state bid has never been incorporated,
It's
but it's
not
been
because it
20,000 for a long
changes.
time.
It probably changes at times, and it probably was not listed as 20,000
We-
because
we-
it
I know
could
it's
become
20,000.
25,000 at some
We,
point.
we refer to it as state bid limit, and the state bid limit is 20,000, which
Yeah.
exists right
So-
now. So if you want to keep it the way it is, you're going right back to where we were. Where we are. Yeah. All right, so is there any further discussion? We're back to the motion that trustee Sabo made with the 2 minor modifications Was there a second on that?
And I-
There was a second on that. All right.
And I-
We fine with the discussion?
And-
Okay.
And can I amend my motion?
Only if he withdraws the second.
I would like to amend my motion.
Yes, to withdraw the second, then you'll amend the motion.
This is getting a little embarrassing. Let's-
No, this is,
You know what? Are you going to amend your second there, trustee K. Janice?
Well, I'd like to have about a half an hour dissertation on that. No, I'm not.
Okay. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
well, you know what? I recall a time when the second motion, whoever it was not necessary. And that if he denied, the person denied the second, making this, or agreeing with the motion, and denying that he would make the second, that somebody else would make the second.
I have a municipal attorney sitting right next to me.
That's what he told
Madam
us.
Clerk, please call the roll.
But that's what he said
Please
before.
call the roll.
Trustee Suisse?
Just keep going. She said aye.
Trustee Yukich?
No.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee K. Janice?
Aye.
Trustee
Motion.
Sabo?
He didn't vote.
Go ahead, vote.
I'm saying no, because I know that the second could have withdrawn and another second could have been put in its place. We did it before.
He did not, he wouldn't withdraw a second. Motion
He didn't
carries.
withdraw, and he
Motion-
knew
I
motion
rescind my
carries.
vote.
It's like the second didn't have, wasn't important.
Hey, you know what, guys? Let's get back to business here. This is getting a little stupid, to be honest with you. This is I-5. Is there a motion to approve ordinance number 14-021, an ordinance providing for the control of alcoholic liquor within the Village of Homer Glen, Will County, Illinois?
So moved.
First by trustee DeVivo,
Second.
second by trustee K. Janice. Is there discussion?
Oh, yes.
Yes, Mayor.
Trustee Yukich, go right ahead.
If we go to page 5, or page 15, for the Class E license, or for the Class F license, I take that back. We have one F license out there right now, and no one has discussed with the owner of the F license. We decided that we were not going to, well, we had a mixed feeling. I felt that we should have kept F and just left it alone. The village manager said that makes it very hard for the staff to deal with it. I called the village clerk, asked her if it's very hard. She said no. Nick has a Class F license right now, which is strictly beer and wine. If we switch him over to an A, it costs him $500 more a year for his liquor license, and his dram shop insurance will go up drastically because he has a liquor end of it. I don't think that's fair, sticking one of the residents or one of the businesses with more money when he already has something approved. It's in place. We don't have to worry about it. We're not going to put any more out there. So, and then I went by Nick's and asked him if he had been talked to about it, and everyone at the store said, no one's talked to him yet. So it's real hard to vote on something when it's still in there, saying that we are going to take it away from him. So I just want the whole board to know that.
I believe the way you can do it is if he has a Class F license, you just grandfather him in, and you eliminate the Class F license.
Well,
That's
no,
you can't do that?
No, they wouldn't have to. So the thing to do, trustee Yukich, would be, unless you have other changes to the ordinance, would be to make a motion to adopt the ordinance as presented with the inclusion of the Class F classification.
And, because if for each situation, you create the license
Correct.
before you give it out. So what you do is, there's one F-class license, and you
And
don't
there's
have
no
to, you don't have to issue any more.
Okay, all right. I
And
still
the
got.
only thing that would need to be done is for all of you to review section 13 on page 21 of 42, to make sure that those are the number of licenses that are currently available.
All right, you're talking about the clean copy?
I'm looking at the marked copy.
Okay.
Okay.
And trustee Yukich, I do recall that conversation that we did had on that meeting that we held together, and that was a concern that we had. But communication couldn't be brought forward until there was a decision brought forward and ratified by the board.
Okay, I believe trustee
Wait,
Costa.
I still have, I had a few more.
Okay, go right
Give me a second. For page 22 and 23, I do agree that the mayor should have the right to extend the hours of liquor license if needed, but I don't know if I like it being very open-ended, because pretty much it could be approved till 2 o'clock Monday through Friday on, during the weeks, during the weekdays. So my suggestion on it was, they have on here Christmas Eve, but they got it scratched out, but New Year's Eve closing time shall be 2 a.m. on January 1st, and that is if it falls on a weekday. What should be added to that is Black Wednesday, that is a Wednesday before Thanksgiving, because you got to give the bar people an opportunity to make some money, and you also got to give all the residents of Homer Glen that came home from school or from wherever to be able to spend some time with each other.
A little update on that, George. Quite some time ago, I asked the bartenders to provide us with a list of their specialty dates because, for instance, you have Pepe's that has Cinco de Mayo. You've got St. Patrick's Day. You've got, as you referred to, Black Wednesday. And to this date, unless I'm incorrect, and the village manager may know more than I, have they ever provided the specialty day list?
There, I can't remember it.
What's been practiced, George, isn't that I have the blessing to have hours extend whenever they want. What's been practiced in the past, and it goes prior to my administration too, is that if they have one of these dates, they usually ask the liquor commissioner for an additional hour, and I give it to them.
And that's fine. I don't have a problem with it. But there are some special dates where they do want it, and it's fine. But the only thing that scares me about it there too is, I worked in a bar for many years. If you bump the time back too far, and everyone around you closes a little bit earlier, the only thing you get are all the drunk people coming here trying to have a couple more drinks because they have a little bit more time.
That's why we took the license originally from a 3 o'clock license to a 2 o'clock license. That was done a number of years ago. And anybody, when they ask for this specialty day, all of them are entitled to it. So if somebody asks for an extra hour, all the bars are entitled to an extra hour.
Okay.
Would you want then to amend that subsection F to say the commissioner may extend the hours of operation of any licensee for an additional hour?
Yeah.
An additional 1 hour.
For special occasions.
I don't know if you want to say 1 hour, but it might be a special situation, whether it be a wedding, a baptism, a bar mitzvah, or just a private party. But I don't know if you want to say 1 hour.
Well, because all your licenses are, they're 1 o'clock.
You might want to say under special.
Okay, and the last one?
Then would make them 2 and then 3 o'clock licenses.
Go ahead.
I have just 2 more. Class E temporary license. We have to make a change in one of that. It says authorizes a retail sale of wine and beer only.
What page are you on?
On page 14, Class E, the first paragraph. It says that we can only sell beer and wine. Well, right now we sell Mike's Hard Lemonade, we sold margaritas, that's a liquor, and that puts us in violation.
Okay, so you would want to take out...
Just take out beer and wine.
And/or beer, and
yes.
just add alcoholic liquor.
Correct.
Because that includes wine and beer.
Okay, are there any further changes?
And then the last one I have is on page 31. I don't understand this, so it's just a question. You took out the paragraph that says for premises expansion. If a business is doing very well and they want to make themselves a little bit bigger, why are we going to deny them to be able to expand? I understand for the outdoor, and we still would have to come before the board, but if you get someone like, here, Davidson's, the tire store moved out right next to him. If he wanted to become bigger, this stops him from doing that.
No, that's why it came out, because as it's written, the applicant has to come all the way back to the village again for a premises expansion permit, and there's a bunch of conditions on that. And then that would not be required.
He's taking it out.
All right, so
It's coming out, so it's
it would make it easier?
Right,
Yes.
so for example, if Mullet's was, they're doing gangbusters and the place next to them becomes vacant and they want to expand, they don't have to come back to the village for a premises
Okay,
expansion.
that's absolutely fine then.
Okay?
You have anything else, George?
Nope.
I think,
Trustee Costa?
Yeah, just a couple points of clarification, Mayor, if I could. First, on page 16, basically on the front, page 3, it says that special events license, village-sponsored events will not require a liquor license. That also includes co-sponsored events with intergovernmental agreements. Would that be fair to say?
What it says is any event conducted by or under the auspices of the village.
Okay,
So
so,
like your Summerfest, you know, then it's how you interpret the ordinance. And I
Okay.
would consider your the event that you
We'd have to
sponsor
change that too,
with,
then.
I consider the event that you sponsor with Homer Township to be
Right.
under the auspices of the village.
All
Then
right,
we'd
so-
have to change that too then, because that's a sale of wine and beer only.
right, that's what I was,
Okay, so you would make that change.
alcoholic
in
beverages.
Small items.
Possibly we should also reflect in the definition of some of the suppliers in the state, suppliers, on what the state deems as what the term was, wine coolers or margaritas or different Mike's Hard Lemonade, that was the term. The term is, I believe under the state distributorship that we have, whether it be Rocky Works or whoever, I think they deem those as wine. I do believe so, and if you scratch that surface, you'll see those as deemed as wine.
Right, except that margaritas, which apparently were sold at some of these events, would not fall under the wine category. And we're talking about events that are going to be conducted by the village.
Correct.
So you're going to control what's being served there.
Correct.
Okay, just want to make sure we're not doing it as a name brand. We're
Right.
kind of doing it as a
No,
category.
we're just, you would take out wine and beer only and insert the phrase alcoholic liquor in the two instances pointed out by trustees Costa.
But I think it does fall under flavor and how it's sold under the description on the state license. So that's where I just want to make sure that we're not, whether it be Mike's Hard Lemonade or whatever, that we're not getting semantics into our licenses when it comes to special
Yeah, no,
uses
you're
or
not.
Okay. All right, is there any?
I have comments, Mayor.
Go ahead, trustee Swees.
Page 4, I think restaurant is too vague of a description for kitchens. And also, I think on the 5th line where it says using stoves, ovens, fryers, and/or related equipment. Need to delete "or" because "or" could mean a hot plate in a microwave, and that would be your description of a kitchen.
So you would want "and" to come out?
Or to come out.
Oh, okay.
I think we need to have a better description of a full kitchen. I think it's too vague. And we have to have something about maybe prepackaged foods are not considered part of a full kitchen menu. Also on page, let's go to page 8.
Well, why don't we just,
Okay.
you stick with this, just as a recommendation, you stick with the discussion on this because
Okay.
this was the definition that was the result of conversation with the subcommittee that consisted of trustee Yukich and Kajianis. I don't know if they have
Well, I
any
wasn't there,
comment on
maybe
that.
they have some comments.
Well, I'd like to hear what everyone says, Mike, just rather than trying to dictate what we said.
Go ahead, trustee Swees.
To stay on this subject or continue on?
No, let's stay on this. Stay on this topic so that everybody can comment on it.
So what is your concerns, and what are you suggesting?
Well, my concerns is that you can't have a regular restaurant with a full kitchen with only 1,500 square feet. So I think it should be a little bit larger with maybe similar to, or minimum similar to what Creperie Bistro, because they have a full kitchen where they prepare. I've seen what Dottie's is planning on setting up, and it's basically almost a snack bar.
Yeah, okay. May I comment?
Sure,
on that one?
trustee Kajianis, go right ahead.
It's quite interesting that we want to design and prescribe how a restaurant business will operate and have their operating procedures inside their establishment. Whether it be their kitchen area and what they are actually preparing and how they're preparing it for the consumer, which is us, the people. How they thrive and survive is based on us, the consumer. If they do a good job with their establishment or don't do a good job. These establishments on a certain square footage still have to meet life safety codes, fire department codes, OSHA codes, ADA codes. If they set up their establishment that does not meet the codes, they will not get an occupancy permit, whether it be from the village, the county, or the state. So how we want to set up the kitchen, or the dining room, for that matter, I think that is now trying to take over their business plan and being in direct conversation with their lender on how they're going to proceed with the lending. There are several businesses that are very successful in Orland Park, Frankfurt, Lamont, Oak Brook, that are approximately 1,200 square foot, 1,300 square foot restaurants. Very successful. A couple of them, I've seen a lot of Homer Glen residents over the years go to visit these restaurants that are about 12 to 1,300 square foot restaurants that have liquor licenses, beer and wine. So, I just have a hard time that we want to prescribe how an operation in the kitchen is established and how they're going to prepare food and present food to the public. We're at 1,500 square foot on our conversations, George and I, through our meetings. I've kind of was hesitant on the 15, but to move this process forward, so we're not holding up our economics in our village going forward. I kind of agreed with the 1,500 on principle, even though I was looking at some different numbers.
Okay. Trustee Sabo, go ahead.
Okay.
Before you start, is Trustee Suisse done or not?
Well, I have other pages, but you said stay on this subject.
Go ahead, Trustee
No,
Sabo.
if she's,
Well, no, if you have
Okay,
something to say
well,
on this subject.
all right, on this subject, yes. I don't believe that. I did not get the impression that Trustee Suisse wanted to design a kitchen. I believe that if we go back to conversations in the past, it has to do with a fair playing field for all restaurants. Not so that when you talk about what is being served, how it's being prepared is very important. And if you look, and we did not want them to just have a hot plate and something and then you warm it up and so forth. So if you look at page 19, under Brewery Pub B1, it's crossed out because we don't have that Class B1 anymore. It was taken out before. But if you look at the description toward the middle, it says, and I'm not concerned about potato chips, pretzels, popcorn, peanuts, or other similar snack food. I'm concerned about the part where it says frozen or pre-made foods such as pizza, hamburger, or sandwiches, which can be prepared by only heating or warmed in an oven, shall not be considered food prepared and served on the premises. And to me, that describes a full kitchen much better if it were added, if some language like that were added to Class A or B.
Okay, so if you took the language under the B1 that came out under a prior ordinance that starts with the phrase, the sale of packaged foods such as potato chips, pretzels, popcorns, et cetera, frozen pre-made foods, and added that to the definition of restaurant.
I would take out, I'm not concerned about potato chips, pretzels, popcorn, peanuts, snack food. I'm concerned about their,
Yeah, as long as you
the
got
rest
word
of
up,
it.
I would add all of it. I would add all of it. That's just another phrase. Does everybody follow that?
Yep.
Okay. Does that make sense to everyone?
It clarifies the definition then, what you're saying, right?
So that would be an amendment. And then, is it satisfactory?
Trustee Suisse, does that satisfy your concern about that?
Yes, that helps.
Okay. All right. Trustee Suisse, you said you had something else you wanted to talk about?
Yes, thank you.
Look, can I make a comment, though?
Sure.
We need to be careful how we word some of this stuff, because quite honestly, and I'm sure that most of you must know that a lot of the restaurants that are in town, they get prepared food in, and all they do is warm it up. I mean, maybe not everything that they're serving is warmed up, but a portion of it is. So, just know that or keep that in mind. Big franchises do those types of things.
Right, and along those, and that's what I was going to tag on, Trustee, is I'm not going to give up names on some of the franchise across the country and across the world, but there is certain systems that they're putting into kitchens that the food is coming in prepared, pre-recipe'd out, pre-packaged, and it's coming in and going through certain rehydration, reheating systems that they're a full-fledged restaurant in front of the house, but the systems in the back of the house are very streamlined, very efficient, and very proficient. So with those definitions, I think what you have to do is fall back on a kitchen when you start looking at OSHA laws, food safety, sanitation, fire protection, and I use the term ANSEL, but I know that's a proprietary term, so it's fire suppression systems in kitchens. And I know there's even national chains that just serve soups and salads. So, when we start taking a look at what a definition of a kitchen is and what food prep areas are, it gets a little dicey. And I don't know if we really fully understand that atmosphere and that environment.
I just want to make a comment.
The village attorney would like to make a comment. Go ahead.
Okay.
Well, this is only going to apply to establishments that are making application for liquor license.
Exactly, and with that thought in mind is what establishment, let's say it's a sushi place that doesn't have cooking, it's pretty much raw food, it's raw fish. They want to serve their sake and they want to serve their ethnic beer, and that's a liquor license with their sushi, and that's a food prep area. And they have to fall into food prep and sanitation and OSHA codes.
All right. Mayor, do you mind?
Sure. Are you
Okay.
done?
This is what I'm reading and on what they're saying right now. If you're going under an A license and B license is pretty much the same thing. If you took out some of the red line stuff, all it is any public place kept, used, maintained, advertised, and held out to the public as a place where meals are served, cooked, and prepared in an adequate and sanitary kitchen. Now, as you said with the sushi bar, that's still prepared.
And/or prepared, right.
Right. So, I mean, obviously, it's not cooked, but most sushi places still have some cooked food, but even if they didn't, it's still something that's just prepared. I think all it is it's trying to make a standard for everyone just to follow.
And on what you just said, Trustee Yukich, we agreed on.
Right.
The verbiage in it, we agreed on. So, expanding it into different territories, that's where it starts becoming dicey.
Page 4. I think what it is, though, is the wording, sometimes with a red line, it actually makes it a little bit more, I don't know, it's hard to read some of it because you're trying to read over words that are scratched out in the middle, and then you're popping 4 words over and you're trying to read something. But like what I said, with what I had just read, it's pretty much From there on, in the red line, and you already moved and/or.
And/or.
Just or.
Right.
Just or.
And?
Just
And/or.
or.
Okay.
Leave and, but just or.
Or just and?
Just
Okay.
leave and,
Okay.
take
If-
out or.
All right, but if you remove that, it pretty much gives a pretty general description of what a restaurant would have. Now, not every restaurant's going to have every single solitary piece of equipment that every other one does. They're all going to vary. All we're trying to do is we're pretty much, you want the place where meals are served, cooked, and prepared in an adequate and sanitary kitchen. And then the following words.
And that's
Is
it. I agree with that.
So, I mean, this is what we did discuss.
We did
And all it was
discuss
is, you might have lost a word here or there, but now it
We're
puts it back
close.
in, and yes.
We're close.
Okay.
We're pretty much on it.
Are there any other, trustee Costa?
On this subject, and then I had some more just clarifications, but on this subject, I would relate or ask our legal counsel, the way it's worded now, Mark, can somebody interpret that as putting something in a toaster oven and saying that it's cooked and prepared there? Or no?
Well, I don't think, as the way it's written now, I don't believe so. And you have to
Okay.
and you've got to bear in mind that it's largely left to the municipalities to interpret the ordinances, their own ordinances, and unless their interpretation is completely off base, of course, they're going to defer to it. Like, having said that, though, I think that adding the phrase that had been deleted, that was pointed out by trustee Swayze, the sale of packaged food such as potato chips, I think that adding that phrase in there nails home the whole point.
But that would not harm one of our existing establishments that serve alcohol, though, that has the packaged
Because
foods.
they're all going to be they would be grandfathered,
Okay, so we're okay that way?
yes.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Mayor. My next thing, again, just clarification. The 1,500 square feet, I thought that was a starting point from us originally when we talked about this back in October. And again, you know, if a restaurant has to come in and put everything in he needs to prepare the food there and keep it within 1,500 feet, God bless him. I think it's going to be a task, but that's his business, that's my opinion.
No, 1,500 square feet is what was brought to you by
Minimum,
trustees
right.
Janice and Goodrich.
Okay, the other thing, just clarification here, is on page 18, and it may say it one or two other times, again, it says, food prepared on site must be available, but it does not have to be served, correct? So somebody can go in there and have a cocktail, they don't necessarily have to have a cocktail and a sandwich or a
Right.
full meal. Okay, just point of clarification, that's all.
Great.
And the last one is just on page 35. I see there that on the very last comment on there, according to the clerk's report, no one applies for an entertainment license, and this
Right.
section has never been enforced.
Right.
So if an establishment wants to bring in a band, they can do it without coming in for a special license or permit, correct? No, coming for a license, but, okay.
They have a liquor license and they want to
They
have
can
a
do
band,
it.
that's
Nothing.
fine, and if the band's too loud, then, you know, you've got plenty of other ordinances.
Okay, and my last question to you is, we go with 1,500 feet. Can somebody come in and ask for a variance to be less than 1,500 feet and get a liquor license?
No.
They cannot?
No, because there's no variance procedure in the liquor ordinance. So you'd have to add a variance procedure, or you would have to revise the 1,500 feet. If the 1,500 feet limitation was in your zoning ordinance, as you require a special use permit, then that would be a different matter.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions?
I have more questions, but
Go
we're,
right ahead.
page 8, letter D, all fingerprinting formerly was done by Will County or law enforcement. Now we're saying the village clerk can do it. I don't know if I'm comfortable with that.
So I think it's the village clerk that does the fingerprinting now.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
do
never
you
been
continue
done.
to do
It was
that?
revised to reflect.
So
the-
we don't, so we're
Really?
getting away from law enforcement agencies.
Now, it says, or a law enforcement agency designated by the liquor commissioner.
Okay.
But my
did-
understanding is that for quite some time, it's been the village clerk and deputy village clerk that have done the fingerprinting.
Okay.
Okay.
Page 25, real quickly. When it says here, I, in the middle, where it says $150, about the contributions, political campaigns, is that $150, is that on an annual basis, or is that just a one-time deal?
That's the way your ordinance is written now.
Okay. So if a person wants to attend something one year, then they can't do it the next time? I was just throwing that out there.
It just says that no one can make a donation of $150 directly or indirectly towards the nomination and campaign fund or expenses of any candidate.
Okay. Page 30, view from the street. I think we need to delete what's in the parentheses where it says, on the premises, view from the street, that a restaurant is an exception, and they can have screen blinds or partitions that can block the windows. I think because of the gaming video establishments, and like in Dottie's in Lamont, they have almost complete blinds across the windows, the doors. So I think we need to do away with that exception and just...
Restaurant?
Yeah, well, I think all of it. I think it should be, view from the street should be fairly clear for interior. I mean, there's curtains on the bistro, and you could still see through that.
Okay, again, this is the way your ordinance is written.
Well, that's why I'm trying to change it.
I'm just commenting that this is the way the ordinance has been written since 2001.
Okay,
So
and
everybody wants to take it up?
well, I want to address that real quickly.
I would like to address that.
When you have a restaurant and you have a window that faces the outside, sun comes in that. I mean, you have to be able to pull a set of blinds down. I'm not saying you darken out the windows like it's some gambling parlor or something like that, and something illegal's going on the inside. But I've eaten at restaurants in this town, from Bonfire to Taz's, that all have them, and you have to have them because sometimes the sun is coming directly in the windows.
I understand
Western
that.
exposure
Yeah.
to the windows, or eastern exposure in the morning.
So, I mean, I disagree with that. Anyway, Trustee Suisse, why don't you continue to finish up on your comments?
All right. Oh, I think, and that was it, because George mentioned some of the things that I was similar to bring up.
Okay, is there, Trustee Sabo, go ahead.
Okay. On page 4, we've been to this section before, but we haven't been to this idea before. It's in the lower part of the first paragraph there, where 60% of total annual revenue must be derived from the sale of food. I think that years ago, that was a big, deep discussion, and that there were some restaurants that served liquor that, one in particular I can think of, that did not do that. It became more of a bar than it was of a food establishment. So I would like to see 60% put back in.
I would tell you that nobody's putting this in anymore, and it's virtually impossible to enforce unless you're going to hire an auditor and have them go out and check the books of every single bar in town.
Okay, how will we know that a restaurant is more a restaurant than it is a bar?
Why do we care?
Will it become obvious?
Yeah, what you have to do is make sure that these places have restaurants, you have restaurants, or you have kitchens is laid out in the ordinance, and you're going to do that as part of your permitting process. And then you would do a premise check to make sure that food is available at times that they're selling alcoholic liquor. You can put the 60% back in if you want. It doesn't matter to me. I'm saying that it's virtually impossible to enforce that. It is impossible to enforce it unless you're going to have somebody go out and audit the records of these establishments.
Okay, if it's not possible to enforce, I can understand that.
It's not possible to enforce unless you're going to put somebody on staff that's going to have the capability and the wherewithal to audit the records of the licensed establishments.
Okay, well then, I will withdraw that. I just felt that was something that we had in there that was very serious, because I know it was a problem a while ago, a few years ago. Then I would like to go to page 12. And page 12 pertains to catering. Wait a minute. Page 12. No, not that one. Well, I had an idea. I don't think this is the right. In number I,
Which
it's
section are you in, 9, 10, or what?
Class A.
Mm-hmm.
It says here that restaurant license authorizes the retail sale of the premises specified of alcohol, liquor by the drink, or vinous beverages by the bottle, or craft or beer marked. Okay. Is it necessary to, it does specify on the premises, right?
Right.
Okay, so that's, I just wanted to double check that one.
Right.
Okay, then, let's see, catering, in the category of catering,
What page?
let's see, I don't have a page, catering, class I, HI, page 16. You look, I know the caterers will prepare the food. They serve it somewhere else. They are also allowed to bring alcoholic beverages, but at the place they serve, not the place that they prepare. So I just wanted to make it clear that it wouldn't imply that they would be able to sell any alcohol from their location of preparation.
Right, and it says in double I, alcoholic liquor shall only be sold and served by the licensee in connection with the catering of foods.
With the catering of foods.
Right.
At the location designated.
And, we tried to tinker with the ordinance as little as possible.
Okay.
And this is language that you've had in effect since 2001.
Right.
And it's worked plenty well since then. And then
So it
there's
isn't necessary to emphasize.
believe so.
I mean, it's obvious,
And
it's
right.
understood.
Right.
Okay, then on page 7, and we've discussed fingerprinting before, but I do see something, page 7, it says the commissioner may, under fingerprinting,
On page 7?
on page 7, the commissioner may, at the bottom, C it is now.
May in his or her discretion require any applicant for a new village license, any applicant for renewal to
No.
be fingerprinted.
Yes, may. Should it say shall?
Well, again, this is the ordinance that's been around since 2000.
I know, that's why we're
So there
kicking
wasn't
it
a-
over.
There wasn't a hue or cry. Did you-
We
What I would
do
say
it.
that, have you looked at it, to say that the commissioner may in his or her discretion require any applicant for a renewal liquor license, because you
For a
already
renewal.
all licensees are fingerprinted.
Okay, but for a liquor license to begin with, initially, they must be fingerprinted.
Yes. So you would strike the phrase, any applicant for a new village liquor license.
Strike,
And it would say any applicant for renewal of a liquor license to be fingerprinted.
okay.
Okay?
Okay, do you have anything else, Terry?
Well, just a second.
I'm just asking you.
Okay. On page 9, I have a question about, it has to do with residents. And there was a question, it's not that I would change it, but the comment is, it is probably unconstitutional or illegal to exclude permanent residents. There wasn't any, was there a reason to put that, to have made that comment?
Yeah, because that's a true statement. There's an opinion from the Illinois Attorney General, there's no case on this, but there's an opinion from the Illinois Attorney General that it would be unconstitutional to deny a permanent resident a liquor license.
Okay, but-
Simply because they don't have citizenship,
I see.
because they can't serve in the military.
Okay, so I didn't know if, was there language there that disagreed with that?
No,
Okay.
well, sure, because what it says currently is a person who's not a citizen of the United States. Okay, what we've added is the phrase, or the holder of the United States permanent resident card.
Okay, I see. All right.
Resident, citizen.
Class G,
What page?
it would be,
Page 15.
okay, 15. Class G beer and wine package sale, is there any duplication here? I'm not against this, but,
With what section?
Class G on page 15,
Right.
okay. Was that a duplication of another type of store?
No, not that I'm aware of. This is for a business that's engaged in the sale of beer and wine, as opposed
Only.
to, not for consumption on the premises, as opposed to the Class D, which is a packaged liquor goods store, which
Okay.
authorizes the retail sale of the alcoholic liquor in its original package. So that would be Kenwood, or a grocery store that sells beer, wine,
Right.
and hard liquor,
Right.
as opposed to, gas stations that when they sell alcohol, it's typically just beer.
Okay, the next question I have is, I know that there's some concern here that 1,500 square feet would be actually enough. I don't know the size of the crepe place. Could it be 1,600?
Creep is 1670.
It's what?
1670.
1,607? 70. I'm just concerned, too, that 1,500 isn't enough space. And I would like to ask Trustee Yukich what he would suggest.
You're asking me a question now?
Yes, I
I'm
would
sorry,
ask Trustee Yukich what he would suggest if, because I'm concerned about 1,500 square feet. And Trustee Suisse has brought it up. Trustee Costa says, okay, but let's see if they can do it. I didn't quote his exact words. So if you could name a square foot number, what would it be?
Well, when we went over this, we went back and forth on sizes of what we thought it should be, and Trustee Kajanius made a good point that if you go too high, you could eliminate a lot of the small mom and pop stores, which we don't want to do. I don't know if 1,500 is too big or too small. The first license that we have with liquor on it in the village is La Crepe. That's at 1,670. I don't believe there is anyone else before that that has a liquor license. You've got some of the video gaming places that are below that amount right now, but they're not open. Ted, you had mentioned earlier that there were a couple in here that are around 1,200. Which ones are you talking about?
No, what I mentioned is this, that we have developments that we have annexed into our village, and we accepted the construction and the building that have 1,200 square foot up to 1,400 square foot. So I'm talking about when we were in our conference together, that we have now told those developers that have spent millions of dollars in our community that you can know, we're going to tell you who you can lease to. So that little mom and pop restaurant, cafe that may want to sell wine, now you can't rent to them. So that was my argument there. And our discussion was, we came to, and I kind of held my breath on it, but at 1,500 square foot, I do believe that we're kind of putting the cart after the horse got out of the barn, or try to shut the barn door after the horse got out, but after applications were filed. But we're at 1,500. We have 1,200 to 1,400 square foot storefronts that have been empty for many years, that I do believe that there is some small, and I hate to use the term mom and pop because they're sophisticated people, but some restaurateurs that may want to come in and sell beer and wine in their establishments, but start off at a low scale to see if they could develop into a bigger. Take a look at one of our establishments in towns doing real well. One of his problems has been he had too big of a space. And that was one of his issues for many years, and he almost lost that business. But now he's doing okay, and he's looking to expand his business. We don't want to lose those businesses because they have too much square footage that they're paying rent on.
And that's what we both agreed on that.
Yes, we did both agree on that.
Okay, I just had asked trustee, and I'm glad I hear both of you, about being both on the committee, but we shouldn't assume that there's a restaurant that's going to go into 1,200 or 1,500 square footage just because they're available. But
if I may say this,
I'm sorry,
with that comment, no, let me just finish that comment, though. There is national chains that we know of that are coming in with prototypes at 1,300 to 1,500 square foot prototypes, restaurants, with craft beer or craft wine. We know that.
I promise, trustee Kajanis, I won't interrupt you if you don't interrupt me.
Hold on,
I just wanted to finish that statement.
Okay, hold on. There's going to be one person talking at a time.
Well,
Go
I
ahead,
thought I
trustee.
was talking.
Trustee Sabo, go right ahead.
I appreciate that.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay, going back to meetings back as far as October, we were concerned about having too many video gamers or too many in one strip mall. Now, in this very one here, we have 3 restaurants that we knew, they're established that they would have video gaming if they so chose. Then we have another applicant, that would make 4. There are also empty stores in this place, in this strip mall. So the conversation then went to, well, we could use planning as the answer. So that I'm saying this, that if we felt that 4 or 5 were too many in one strip mall, you get a concentration of that, there must be a way to place them or to encourage them to find another location. Otherwise, this is just going to be Gambler's Row here. So I did hear somebody say that planning was the answer. The gentleman sitting to my right said planning was an answer. So I know that planning is not in this liquor ordinance, so it doesn't have a place in it, but it would have a place in planning. So I just am concerned because there could be too many in one location.
Okay.
So how do we go about that? What's the answer to that?
Well, it was discussed at the committee level for quite some time. Actually, I think the second meeting, we spent about half the meeting just talking about that. And there were a couple staff members, Michael, thank you, and a couple others, Janie, I think, that went out and actually measured the distances between vacant spaces and existing restaurants. And the trouble is that when you start trying to figure out how far apart they should be, the number of vacant spaces that we're trying to rent that would be precluded was pretty high. And so the committee decided that trying to proceed with a distance between was going to take out way too many vacant spaces. It was going to make them inoperable for restaurants. And one of the functions of that is really how the shopping centers are designed. Like a perfect example, Blockbuster is available, the old Blockbuster space, and we're working to try to fill it. I think people would love to see a restaurant going in there, but when you do the measurements on how far away it is from Davidson's or the Jewel or other places where there are liquor licenses, it becomes really challenging to try to make that happen. And so the totals, we actually spent a lot of time, gave the committee spreadsheets and everything, and the committee decided that we weren't going to go down that route.
Well, I can see the complications there. I did have an idea that I would like to be considered. And some strip malls are big, some are smaller. Depending on the size of the strip mall, Maybe there could be, you can, for a certain size strip mall, you could say a certain number of them could go in this one. A larger one, of course, you would have more. So, yeah, otherwise, there's just going to be a concentration in one area. I don't think that that's good planning. So if we could consider the size of the mall, based on and then how many could go in there?
Well, one of the things that will control it now with the passage, if this is passed, will be the square footage requirement. So it might be that you could see how the new square footage requirement will impact that, and then you could maybe revisit it if you felt like the square footage requirement didn't take care of it. I will just say, and the other two committee members are here. We were just staff support, but they did spend an awful lot of time talking about that, Trustee Sabo, just to let you know.
Well, that was the purpose of this whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay, Trustee Sabo, you have anything else?
I do not.
Oh,
I
okay.
have one comment, I forgot,
Go-
I'm
go
sorry.
right- go right ahead.
It's on page 37. I want to ask the attorney why he redlined Roman numeral 7 about the 18 years of age or older working in a premise and to serve alcoholic liquor. Because I think that deters 18, 19-year-olds working at Chili's trying to work a summer job, because it is a state ordinance, it's a state law that they can serve. They can't pour, but they can serve liquor. So I wanted to know why we deleted that.
Probably because I was told to. I don't recall off the top of my head.
Well,
but
then-
if I could
I'm
finish.
sorry.
But I agree with you personally, and as an attorney, I agree with you personally that that language should be in there. Because that is, because you do have kids that work at restaurants, and that engage in this activity. And it's not a state law that you have to be over 21 to work.
That's
So
correct.
that should go back in there.
That's
Right.
correct. Well, I don't know. What did the
What
committee?
number was that?
It's on page 37.
37.
It's, but what number what?
Right here.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that should go back in.
Okay, we've had plenty of discussion on this. Is
I
there-
just have one more thing, and I'll make it real quick.
Go ahead.
Some of the trustee Costa said made a lot of sense. We, at the committee, a lot of times. When we figured at 1,500 feet, Ted nor I really know exactly how the setup would be on this. So what does happen if they set it up at the 1,500 feet and they can't make it work? I know it's going to be up to them to be able to make this thing work, but what happens? I mean, do we come back and then do we raise it, or do we, if they can't fit it in there, then it's their option to bump up room?
Well, the way I'd say it, George, is that that's their business plan. If they can't make it work at 1,500 square feet, it's their fault. They're going to end up probably having to close up.
Then I don't,
You
I
can't-
have no problem with it.
You know, free enterprise works free if you allow them to be free. You can't guarantee anyone anything. It's all about their business model and how well they execute it. I mean, some businesses at 1,000 square feet are making a hell of a killing on just selling peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and cereals. So you never know. It's
Okay.
up to their business plan.
Okay, now, we had a motion and a second. I guess the way to go about this would be to amend the first and second to reflect the comments that were made to the village attorney to add to the, ordinance.
Was there a motion and a
Yes.
second?
Who was the first?
I think I was.
Trustee
We need to
Devo.
withdraw the second.
That was Trustee K. Janice.
Withdraw your second.
Okay, and who had
And
the
I have
first?
to amend yeah.
We need to
Okay.
withdraw the motion.
I want to hear the first. Okay, yes, I'll withdraw to hear the,
Okay, then.
hear the
then
motion
I-
again.
then
Because
I-
it's been an hour.
then I
Well,
was-
the motion should reflect the comments that
Right.
were made to the village attorney to correct the ordinance to the comments that all the trustees had.
So I withdraw the original motion, and I amend the motion to approve the ordinance number 14021, an ordinance providing for the control and alcoholic liquor within the village of Homer Glen, Will County, Illinois, with the recommended changes.
Perfect. Is there a second?
I have a second.
Okay, trustee Kajana, second. Any further discussion?
Just a question, do we have a list of what they are?
Because how can we
All right, just so we're, otherwise it comes back to us. and we
The
start from
attorney,
scratch.
the attorney was
Okay,
making
all right,
all the
all right.
changes.
Okay.
Can we see this ordinance after you have it all marked up? We'll be able to,
What you will get from me is the clean copy of the ordinance.
Okay.
Because when I sent the ordinance out, I sent the red line version and a clean version. What you will get is the clean version of the ordinance with the changes that were discussed at today's meeting. And then a
Okay.
clean copy of it.
That's fair.
And if for some strange reason we didn't get everything that Mark didn't write something down, we can always add that as an amendment to the ordinance.
And I'm going to add language to specifically indicate that the establishments that are under 1,500 square feet are grandfathered, so there's no question about that.
Okay.
Well, no. I have an issue with it. The only one that really has been so-called approved is Dottie's. But they also said at the meeting when we had it that they would go along with whatever the ordinance was when we finished it, because we told them right up front, we don't know where the ordinance stands. Stella's has not even gotten a liquor license.
Right.
And Stella's is at 1,300 square
So they
feet.
would not, so they wouldn't be bound by this because they wouldn't have, they'd be subject to the new ordinance because they don't have a liquor license.
Okay, but now Dottie's is at 1,350 square
Right.
feet, so they should move up to, because they agreed that they would go along with whatever we decided. And
No,
if that's a-
George, if I may, what they agreed to is they agreed to change the classification. We approved them for, yeah, from an F to an A, because it appeared at the time we were going to eliminate the F. So they agreed through the approval process that they would move to the proper category, not change their floor plan, not change their business plan, just they would move to that category that you wanted them in, or you wanted them under, I should say.
no, I don't remember it that way. I remember it the way that
Okay, you know
trustee
what, I won't add
Yukas
the
did.
language there, and you can, I'll visit that another day.
That's fine.
Please.
All right, now the village
But
manager.
I would appreciate it, yeah, because there are changes, they're hard to find, we will not remember where they are. If he would give us the red line copy and the clean copy.
That's what I said I was gonna do.
I only heard clean copy.
No, I said I would give you a red line
You
version of the
did.
old clean, of the prior clean copy, and a clean copy of the new ordinance.
Oh, okay, now the village manager's been waiting
Okay, so
patiently
there's
to
just
say one thing.
There's just a couple things. So Dottie's is like 2 weeks away from opening. The construction is completely done and they have a liquor license. So I'm just raising that because they have a liquor license. They could open tomorrow. They have everything done. So that's just a point I raised, just so you know. They're the only one that falls underneath this square footage. And I know I didn't hear what you had said, Mark. You were making that point, right?
Yeah.
You consider that a grandfather. So just practically speaking, and this can be something that we discuss another time, but just so everybody remembers, when a restaurant comes in, we'll use La Crepe as an example, right? Because that would be the last restaurant that came in that's opened up now. When they came in and they got their liquor license, they didn't have the restaurant designed because they wouldn't spend the money to design a restaurant
Unless they got the liquor license.
unless you agreed to give them a liquor license. And that's how it will be for all restaurants. Nobody will want to put, $50,000, $70,000, $100,000 into a remodel unless they know they can get a liquor license. I'm not saying that you need to discuss this now. I'm just raising it because I don't want anyone to say that I didn't later. This is how it happens in the real world. They come in, they get their liquor license, and then they do. So Mark will have to work with the board and staff and develop something, I assume, that these liquor license holders will sign or completely commit to, so that they, if they're getting their liquor license in advance of their design of their restaurant, that they understand that they have to abide by the liquor license. But they don't come and get the license after they do the build out. They get it
Yeah.
before
Well,
they
they're
do
going to have to
anything.
comply with the
So-
ordinance.
Right, I'm just raising it so you
Okay.
understand, that's how it happens.
And I agree with you. You know what, and it's perfect for them. The business that's right next door to them, it's vacant. They can rent that one.
Well, the liquor license will specifically state what they have to do in order to get a liquor license. So if they don't do what the ordinance says, They just built something out for no reason at all.
They should not have been granted a building permit until they knew what was required, because they agreed to anything very, very easily. They
I'll pull the
agreed.
minutes out, that's absolutely wrong.
No.
We gave them we gave them a license, a liquor license, and the conversation came up that we were going to eliminate the F, and would they be satisfied if we moved them over and so they could keep moving along to an A license, and then at the time that the liquor ordinance was completed, they would accept that classification, not to change the building, not to do anything.
There wasn't any comment about the details. It was said that they would agree with.
Okay, that's independent of this ordinance. okay?
Let's do that. Cameron, could you get us copies of that,
Which one? What date would you like on that one?
the one that we agreed that we would...
Okay, but this is a separate issue.
Right, okay.
Let's move forward
call for
on
a
the
vote.
ordinance, okay?
Yeah, call for the vote.
We got
There's
the
a call
first
for a
and the
vote,
second.
Mr. Mayor.
Call for a
okay?
vote now.
Okay, hold on now. Gail, call the vote before I pass out.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Where can I throw it?
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis?
Well, let me think about this.
Yeah, come on.
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Motion carries, oh my God.
Well, you know what though, Mayor, on this, just in defense of everyone, you gotta understand, this ordinance that we just got done working on has been in place since 2000. It made a lot of changes. This is the first time that everyone up here has taken a look at it. So do you really want us to just jump and just say, yes, let's go ahead and do this?
No, but micromanaging and individual word changes can be addressed outside of this meeting, so the meeting doesn't have to last 4 hours.
Okay, and they're all agreed.
That was brought up earlier, so I would appreciate that if the trustees, if they have verbiage changes, grammatical changes, questions about grammatical changes, this can all be done prior to having to sit here and go through ands or ors and buts and ifs and ands, and, that's all I'm saying.
And I remember, to that effect, I remember a professor once saying in business class, saying, sometimes people like to use the Chicken Little effect. They don't know when the sky is falling, but they swear it's falling.
All right, this is I6. Is there a motion to approve an increase in Olgelson and Sturks LTD hourly rate from $150 per hour to $175 per hour?
So moved.
First by trustee Costa.
Second.
Second by trustee Yukich. Is there any discussion?
Just one. I have one.
Sure.
Have they, is this going back to January 1st of this year? How is this going to be? I mean, how is it going to be paid? Is it retroactive? Are they already being paid the new fee?
I don't know.
For simplicity purposes, it would be best probably if it did go back to January 1. That would, if you wanted to make that part of the motion, that would probably be best.
Well, do I want to give them money away? No, let's start it today. But, whatever they want to do.
Well, here's the thing, to be fair about the whole matter and stuff like that, is that they haven't had a pay increase in 7 years.
I agree.
I think it would be, a good thing to go retroactive to January 1st. Does anybody have a problem with that? All
Well,
right.
then, I think that the motion has to reflect that.
Okay, so
Costa.
Mike, second, withdraw the motion.
who?
I'll withdraw the motion, the second,
And I
Okay.
will amend the motion as discussed.
Okay.
and I second it.
And trustee Yukich seconds it. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
I said aye.
Yeah, but she said DeVivo before.
Oh, sorry.
She said aye twice. We're
I
cool.
did it.
She's not here.
Sorry.
Okay.
Trustee
Thought it
Suisse?
was out of order.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. This would be I-7. I move that $12,270.50 in park donation fees be paid to the village's Park and Recreational Fund out of the unexpended LOC funds for the Carly Acres subdivision, leaving a reserved Carly Acres LOC balance of approximately $45,250.
So moved.
First by trustee
I
Yukich.
second.
Second by trustee Suisse. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Trustee Kajanis?
Aye.
Trustee Sable.
Aye.
Trustee Suisse.
Aye.
Trustee Yukich.
Aye.
Trustee Costa.
Aye.
Motion carries. This would be I-8. Is there a motion to approve the village's FY 2012-13 and FY 2013-14 Hickory Creek Watershed Planning Group membership dues in the amount of $7,500? It is understood that the HCWPG's fiscal year runs from July 1st to June 30th with the annual membership fee of $5,000. Due to the mid-FY timing of the initial HCWPG invoice, the membership fee for FY 2013 was for a half a year only. Therefore, the summary of membership fees due at this time is $2,500 for FY 2013 and $5,000 for FY 2014, for a total of $7,500. An additional membership fee of $5,000 will be required in July of 2014 for FY 2015.
I so move.
First by trustee Sabo,
Second.
second by trustee Costa. Is there any discussion?
I have questions.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, the group was actually formed in 2008, and I remember Bill Eyring starting this group. But I didn't know attending meant that you became a member. And then I didn't know that membership required money. So all of a sudden, this comes forward. Now, I tried to find on the internet, but the search engine was down at the time I was looking, and I wanted to find out if we had ever became members of the Hickory Creek watershed. And so I really don't know that. Perhaps somebody here does. So I also thought that perhaps Orland Park was involved in the watershed. I talked to Mike Selamovich about this. Where are the headwaters? Where does it begin for Spring Creek? And then my other question is, for all this time, I don't know that, I know that they've had intentions. I don't know that they've actually set up goals and objectives, but they say they're going to set up goals and objectives. I also want to know how Homer Glen is going to benefit, knowing Spring Creek does not, our planning area does not go all the way to Farrell Road. So we stop at approximately somewhere around Bruce, perhaps. I didn't look at a map, but how are we going to benefit? Will they say it's better to go with groups and you can get a grant that way, better support that way? Are we expected to improve Spring Creek conditions on our own, or will the membership money help us? In other words, all of these other towns, are they going to get assistance through this group, or do we just become members and pay in, and then by chance we're included in a grant? I just like those answers.
Here's a little background information. It's right on your sheet. The Hickory Creek Watershed Planning Group began meeting in July of 2008 with the goal of protecting and restoring Hickory Creek and its tributaries, such as Spring Creek. Staff has been attending meetings of this HCWPG since its inception. HCWPG is a 501c3 organization which has adopted bylaws to govern the mission and organization of the group. It very much appears that we're going to benefit as a tributary such as Spring Creek.
Well, I know that's what it implies, but I'd like to know how we're going to benefit. I mean, this is quite a lot of money. What can we do? Marcia, have you been attending?
I have not attended. Mike Salamowitz
Yes.
has attended, but one of the things that I can definitely say is their first order is to do a TMDL. Now, how does that benefit Spring Creek? Well, a TMDL, by definition, is the calculation of the maximum amount of pollutant that a water body can receive and still safely meet water quality standards. When you have a sewage treatment plant on your creek, you really would benefit by a TMDL study. And they plan on including Spring Creek in that study.
Yes.
So they can measure for, once the study is done, they'll have a measurement, they'll have a standard. This is where we are now. And then they come back and they measure again, and they find out, well, what is this sewage treatment plant doing to this body of water? So I think we benefit that way. Doing a TMDL on our own would be very expensive. So this would be to our benefit.
Well, I did read that, that we would be included, but then after that,
After that, any study that I'm sure that's done would have to include us, just as it would Orland, that area, and, Mokina and the other municipalities.
so we may,
And I think that in time, if you don't find the benefit of belonging to this organization,
Yeah.
George had a good point there.
Yeah.
You quit.
You stop,
So,
yeah.
I mean, right now, we've been attending, it looks as though it's gonna help with Spring Creek. I advise that we do it for the 13 and 2014. Do we have a first and second?
Yes, we do.
Okay, is there any further discussion?
I'd like to ask Mike Salamovich, what is your opinion on further benefits? Further
obviously-
benefits that are not mentioned in here. Has there been discussion on it?
Well, I mean, as Trustee DeVivo had mentioned, obviously, one of the first things they want to do is the TMDL study. That's going to determine what they're going to find in the creek, what the quality of the water is. From that point, then they can determine, and that's going to be done for Hickory Creek as well as Spring Creek. So obviously, we have, Hickory Creek is not within the village Homer Glen limits, but Spring Creek certainly is. That's one of our primary creeks in the village. We have Illinois American's treatment plant located on that creek as well. So depending on what issues are found with that study, that's something that maybe later on is, as Spring Creek as well as Long Run Creek, which has two other treatment plants from Illinois American, that's something that potentially can be brought back to the board as, if we're finding that there's issues with the water quality base, potentially as a result of these treatment plants, that's something that potentially the village board can create ordinances or regulations to potentially reduce those and to try to increase the water quality. As the group also, it'll open us up for additional grants and potential projects down the road. Obviously, each one of the members for the group is going to ultimately have different projects to, whether in their community to help improve the water quality as well too. So obviously, Homer Glen as a member could also potentially have projects along Spring Creek to, include those areas as well too. The Forest Preserve is one of the members as well too. So obviously, Spring Creek flows through Forest Preserve property as well in Homer Glen.
So each of these communities have similar problems, and then they may have different problems.
Correct.
Okay, does that answer your questions?
Well, we're just waiting to see what happens.
Okay.
That's all I can say.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee K. Janice?
Aye.
Trustee Sabo?
Aye.
Trustee Suisse?
Aye.
Trustee Yukich?
Aye.
Trustee Costa?
Aye.
Trustee DeVivo?
Aye.
Motion carries. That concludes the legislative and the action items for tonight. I would suggest we take a 5-minute break, washroom break, and we'll be back. Call this meeting back to order. For where we're at in the night and what have you, I know some people wanted to have 2 workshops here tonight. This got to be a lengthy meeting. Would everybody be favorable to move the discussion on Woodbine to after the budget presentation at the next meeting?
Yes.
I'd be fine with that for sake of time.
It's up to you guys.
To move it after,
We've got a budget presentation at the next meeting that has to be done.
what date is the next meeting?
What is the date, Kim?
April 8th?
April 8th?
Okay, April 8th. April, when is the State of the Village?
The 8th.
April 8th.
the thing is that the state of the village comes first. I think that they would want to know what the trustees are thinking about. I mean, you're not going to go into detail about that, but you certainly in your speech are going to say something about Woodbine ideas, and the trustees haven't had any input at all, although the reporters have reported it as if it was the trustees.
No, I've got my own ideas on it.
Well, I know
that's fine. If you want to have the discussion tonight, we can stay all night if you want.
Well, no,
I'm not
there are
working
your
on
ideas, they're not the trustees' ideas, and everybody should have some input.
That's fine. We're going to have the discussion on Woodbine then. Okay, the first presentation, Development Director Salmovich will lead us into discussion on Bell Road improvements from 151st Street to 159. Mike, please begin whenever you're ready.
Okay. As the board is aware, Will County is proposing to reconstruct Bell Road from 151st to 159th Street. As part of the reconstruction of Bell Road, Will County Department of Highways has informed the village that they have reevaluated and modified the proposed alignment of Bell Road from north of Meadowview Lane to just north of Woodland Drive. The purpose of the realignment was to reduce the impact on the proposed improvements on the adjacent homes along the west side of Bell Road. The realignment will move the proposed road further east away from the homes. As a result, with the exception of the first few homes north of Meadowview Lane, the proposed west edge of pavement for the newly constructed road will be near the existing edge of pavement. The proposed improvements will include a 10-foot wide graded border along the back of curb on both sides of Bell Road to accommodate a future sidewalk or bike path. Combination lighting, street lighting on the traffic signal poles will also be included at the Meadowview Lane intersection, which is also the primary entrance for both of the schools. In addition, the Will County Department of Highways proposes to install a sound wall behind the homes. An example of the proposed sound wall was included in the packets. The proposed Bell Road improvements will begin south of 151st Street, pretty much where the existing curb and gutter ends south of the creamery, and continue just south of the Bell Tower Plaza entrance, where it'll tie into IDOT's proposed 159th Street improvements. As part of the Bell Road improvements, the Will County Department of Highways is proposing to install a striped median south of Meadowview Lane and a barrier median north of Meadowview Lane to 151st Street. The Will County Department of Highways is seeking board feedback on the following items. The first one was Opticon at the intersection of Bell Road and Meadowview Lane, whether or not the village wants to include the Opticon in the design. Sidewalks and/or bike trails along Bell Road, either on both sides, the east side, the west side, or none. And then the medians, whether or not, if the medians are, well, the medians, it would be either grass or concrete. Will County Department of Highways has informed the village that they need a response from the villages, or need the village's comments within 30 days in order to incorporate any changes into the design plans. If the village wishes not to provide any comments, the Will County Department of Highways will proceed with the design of as proposed. So staff is seeking feedback from the village board to the questions asked by Will County in their attached March 5th, 2014 letter regarding improvements to Bell Road. We've got basically, there's some brief photos. Obviously, this is a photo of the intersection at 159th Street and Bell Road looking south into the intersection.
Can I ask a question, Mayor?
Sure.
Real quick, earlier, one of our, Ms. Edelman came in and asked a question about in and out. Now, you're saying that they eliminated the median to get in and out of her business on Bell Road and 159th Street?
What, the median will still be at the intersection, but what IDOT did is they kicked it further south, so the entrance to the Bellside 7 property will be a full access. From where IDOT ends their median at the intersection, up to basically the center line of Meadowview Lane, that's going to be striped. So all of those businesses will still have their access points. Great. And then going north of Meadowview Lane, it'll be a barrier median.
Okay, so because originally they weren't going to have the barrier median between Meadowview and Woodland Drive. and now they put it in, correct?
No, originally they were actually going to have it, it was actually more restrictive before. They were actually going to tie the barrier median all the way into IDOT's 159th
You're
Street
right, I'm sorry.
intersection
You are right.
and carry that all the way through. So this is definitely allows much greater access for all of those businesses.
My only concern, if I could again, Mayor, I'm sorry, but my only concern is that, you know, on the east side of Bell Road between, let's say, from the school going north to Megaplex is all undeveloped. Eventually, that's going to be developed, and if you have a barrier median there, then access into that as you're going south, you know, you would have to have strategic places to get in there. But as Steve had mentioned, that in the future, the county would be receptive to putting a cutaway in if there's a driveway that falls within the median. So as long as that's still on the table and we can get that some kind of verbiage, I'm okay with all that.
Yeah, obviously, the county would have to provide any kind of driveway accesses onto their roadways or their right-of-ways, so any kind of access points would have to be permitted through the county.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I think, to answer your question too, Mike, is I think that inside the property, like that you're talking about, that piece of property, there'll probably be cross access with some type of frontage road that you'll come in, if they're not gonna, you know, cut into the median, wherever that central point is to get into that property, it'll, as part of the design, we'll probably make them have some type of frontage road that connects the whole thing together. So you'll be able to get in, get out.
Mayor, Mike has just a couple pictures. I think if he goes through the pictures real quick, then I'll answer some of your questions too.
Okay, the next photo here, this is one of the from the Kmart property access points, and it's looking eastward, so obviously you can see across the street there's the First Midwest Bank. And again, this section of the roadway will be full access. It'll be a striped median only. The next photo shows the entrance at the Grove Valley Center, so obviously Roberts, Tuffy's. Again, this is going to be a full access, and right across the street is the entrance for the Bell Tower Plaza and also Nick's as well. So the next photo is looking at the Meadowview intersection, looking north. This is the entrance for both the junior high and the middle school. So this will obviously be going south from this intersection, it'll be striped, but going north from this intersection, there actually will be a barrier median. And just another photo again showing the intersection with the existing temporary traffic signal. So this one will be signalized by the county, and again, they're proposing to do the street lighting at on combination poles, so that's going to be limited lighting. The next photo shows looking north on Bell Road. Primarily, there's going to be probably one property currently, the driveway that's going to be impacted by the barrier medians, and that would be the entrance to the Greek church. Unfortunately, because of the location of the medians for the intersection and the tapers, obviously there's a lot of school bus traffic that goes into the schools, so the tapers are going to, the staging and the tapers are going to be longer. So unfortunately, there's probably not much that can be done as far as access, reducing the median there. Also along the west side on that same photo, that's where the sound wall is going to be installed by the county in the back of those properties. And again, this is just heading north, just south of Woodland Drive. So it's looking north again along Bell Road. And again, what they're proposing to do is shift the roadway outward into the farm field, a little bit into the Gallagher Henry property, to try to keep it as far away from the existing homes along the west side as possible. The next photo is the intersection at Woodland Drive. This will, obviously, it's currently a full access. In the proposed plan, it will remain a full access point. The next photo shows the entrance to the Megaplex as well, and this is again looking north on Bell Road. Oh, sorry, wrong one.
We skipped one.
Oh, they were off out of sequence here. Okay, so this is the entrance to the Megaplex, and it's looking west. And again, this will remain a full access, and also there will be a full access for the property on the west side of Bell Road as well at this location. So both properties will have full access. And again, this is, Okay, so we skipped that one. This is heading north, basically from the Megaplex, looking north, roughly where the stoplight sign is, just past the speed limit sign, is pretty much, in this location is pretty much where the improvements will end, where they're gonna tie into the existing intersection at 151st Street. So they're just gonna tie into the existing curb. That intersection was already widened several years ago, so it's already matching the profile that they're proposing. And again, this is looking from the Creamery driveway, looking south on Bell Road.
So, with that being said, I'm sure you've all had a chance to take a look at the plans that they're proposing. There have been changes to it, as I mentioned to Ms. Edelman. It really makes it very accessible at almost all points, minus one that I went through today, which is the Shell station, the corner. That is going to be a median that reaches down and stops before Bellside 7. So the access to Shell will be not the access that everybody else pretty much has. As far as lighting, I think that they've worked as well as they can with the situation. We've got a school in the immediate area. I think it'll be a tremendous improvement. They're working with the state for coordinating with 159th Street. As they get that done, the project will move into Bell Road, and it's broken up in different phases of what they're going to do, both on 159th Street and on Bell Road. So with that being said, if anybody would like to say something or have any concern, bring forward any concerns, I'm all ears. Trustee DeVivo. Just use that mic to say.
Yeah, okay, help. The Opticom, I think that's something that, we would probably like to see, and especially in that area. I mean, that's something we pay for?
Yeah, they're asking, in my understanding, they're asking us if we would like it there. As you know, we did say that we would provide, I'm not sure if this is one of the locations, but as part of the revenue generated from the video gaming, we were going to assist at certain locations.
Right.
That was 159th Street, so that was the agreement with the state. So what we just need from the board on the Opticom at this location is the feeling of the board members for Opticom here with the county. It would be with the county versus the other one, which is with the state. I would say that with the school being right there, that if you were going to put it anywhere, that would be one place you'd put it, So that would be my feeling on it. But-
And the
So if you could do them one at a time, that would be awesome. If you could start with the Opticom and maybe go to the, as Michael said, then talk about the sidewalks and then the medians and then anything else that you have.
Okay,
So the
Mike.
Opticom would be the
Do you want
first
to
one.
take a
That would
general
be very good.
consensus?
Take a census on the Opticom.
Yeah.
Yeah, hold on here a second. Okay, Marcia, you would like to see the Opticom?
Yes.
Sharon? How about you?
Yes.
Okay, yes?
Yes.
Yes?
Would it be, Mr. Mayor, would it be funded the same way the state on 159th is funded, through the gaming?
I think that's one of the revenue sources that we could use.
Staff would assume that you would, that the Opticom decision regarding gaming wasn't just for 159th, it's any of the additional Opticoms. Is that a fair assumption?
Yes.
Yeah, as long as
I see everybody shaking
as long
their
as they make sense, I mean,
Right.
not.
Well, you'll have to make other decisions about Bell. Obviously, Bell Road actually has a lot more Opticom potential than 159th did. So as they continue farther north, you'll have to make other decisions about that. So then the second question, if I could, Mayor, real quick.
Go ahead.
The second question is about sidewalks or paths, and just trying to maybe move the discussion along a little bit, because I know it's late. Staff is suggesting that if you do anything in this area with sidewalks or path, that you consider sidewalks. There's already been village boards in the past have already kind of made a decision about sidewalks. We have sidewalks in front of this building. There's sidewalks that extend down to the gas station. And so we're suggesting that if you do that, that if you make a decision regarding Bell Road, that you continue the sidewalk on the west side of the road, which is what you already have installed, like in front of this building here. So that would be our suggestion, and then that sidewalk would meet up with the sidewalks that are coming out of the subdivision that exist. You saw them in the picture, that the kids walk to school on and stuff. So that would be our suggestion. Nothing on the west side. Maybe that would come with development.
You mean east?
East side,
East side.
excuse me,
East
thank
side.
you. That would come with development. If we were having them do anything, we would give them direction for sidewalk on the west side. Then they will put it in their plans and they will cost it out. Because we can't tell you how much it would cost because they didn't give us any estimate on that. So
Sidewalk is cheaper?
Sidewalk is smaller
Sidewalk doesn't
usually.
take as much room, and one of the reasons they're shifting the road is you don't have a lot of room, so you probably, I mean, it's a big difference, it's like half the
Is
size.
there enough room on the west side of the street to even put a sidewalk? If
Why would the village want to do that?
Right, they're going to create the opportunity for a sidewalk there, whether you put one there or not, but everyone knows that when you do a road project of this size, if you're ever going to install a sidewalk or a path, this is the time to do it. It just gets exponentially more expensive to come in after a construction project and install a path or a sidewalk. So this would be your best prices that you'll ever get. And the reason we're suggesting the sidewalk is because you've already kind of established that frame of reference in front of these commercial projects.
Well, it's absolutely the right time to do it, because if that's what everybody wants, because to go in and do the restoration from the road work and have to come back out and rip it all, mess it all up, to
Right.
go in and do a sidewalk at a later date, I don't think is a smart thing to
Right,
do.
and the main reason that, the main reason we're not suggesting a path is, one, because we don't think there's enough room for that, and two, because basically a block removed, a couple blocks removed, you're gonna have this path that takes
all the
them
way
down to
to
159th Street. So it would be, you'd have side-by-side paths,
Yeah.
within a couple blocks, so.
Okay, so what do you think about the sidewalk on the west side?
Well, if it fits, that's.
Oh,
that's
it'll
good.
fit, they're gonna
They're
do
gonna make
shelving
sure
on
it
both
fits.
sides.
Right.
We do want to connect, make at least one connection from the path to Bell Road, so that if you happen to be on the path, you could walk to the school or you could walk to Bell Road.
There
So,
actually is going to be a connection. There is, behind the Bell Tower Plaza, there is a section of trail that goes down and dead ends. Ultimately, that'll be tied into the bike trail.
And then
Okay.
you would also have connection through the subdivision, through either the
Right,
sidewalks or the road.
we talked
because
about
the
that, going
sidewalks
down
will
the
connect.
actual, walking through the subdivision is probably something that should be done.
So trustee DeVivo, you're supporting the sidewalk on the west side?
I would prefer a trail, but I think the sidewalk is probably more logical, so.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. When we talked, and I talked with Steve, sidewalks are one size.
Yeah.
Walking paths are, I believe, 10 foot.
Yeah.
And you're really stretched for room over there.
It's 4 feet.
How about you,
long.
trustee Suisse?
I would agree with sidewalk, I think, on the west side.
Okay, how about you, trustee K. Janice?
Definitely sidewalk.
Okay, how about you, trustee Sabo?
It makes sense to have a sidewalk on the west side.
Okay, how about you, trustee Yukich? How about you, trustee Costa?
Yeah, considering you only have 10 feet from the curb to the sound wall anyway, 5-foot sidewalk is
Right.
logical. I like the idea.
Okay, great. Okay, then what's the next
So
item?
the, one final thing on that, the sidewalk will stand the test of time better than the asphalt will too, so that's a good investment. The cement will last longer. So then the third question they're asking, about the medians is, whether or not the village would like them in concrete as they would build them, or if you want them in grass. If you want them in grass, it's the same, deal as the state has. You are required to maintain them. We don't have to plant the grass. They plant the grass for us. I'm sure that they would consider if we had some suggestions, but we do have to maintain the grass. So
Well,
that's the final question they're asking.
My thinking on this is that we're gonna have to maintain the grassed landscaping islands on 159th Street. It just seems like it's a bigger contract,
Yeah, I don't like the ones that are all concrete, the medians. So.
Well, you've got a lot of residential there. You're basically moving through our current business community, our business corridor. You've got a school there. You've got a lot of people that go to extracurricular things from outside the community. So I mean, in my opinion, it'll reflect the community in a better way if it was a Graston. How about you, Trustee Suisse?
Well, I think the grass would be good, because that would maybe absorb some of the, you know, rain, noise, something.
How about you, Trustee K. Janis?
Grass for continuity's sake throughout the village.
Great. How about you, Trustee Sabo?
Well, you gotta have something green, otherwise it just looks like a sea of concrete or asphalt. When I was speaking to Mike Salamovich, we were talking about, you know, is there anything else that we want to put there? It depends on how wide those medians are and whether it's worth it to consider trees. And so that's my question. How wide is the widest area?
Interestingly enough, they don't really give dimensions, but it would appear from Mike's expert review that 16 to 18 feet at the widest, and then of course some of them are very skinny, just like on 159th Street. One of the things to consider about this project is since the maintenance of the islands will become our the medians, excuse me, will become our responsibility, that goes so with trees. So if we want to add trees later, after we maybe determine how hardy the trees survive on 159th Street or something like that, then we can add trees later. We just have to maintain them. They don't have to go in with the project at the time it's built.
Well, it's knowing the kind of the trees that IDOT may put in, we're going to wait a long time.
Then if there aren't any further questions or discussions on that, that's what they needed at this point. Okay, so we'll close the workshop on Bell Road improvements. Thanks for the presentation, Mike. Good as usual. The next workshop session is on Woodbine. The workshop session offers the village board members the opportunity to provide feedback on the village's use of the Woodbine Clubhouse and banquet facilities. The Architect RFQ Committee is winding down their review of the submittal RFQ documents. The committee will be selecting architectural firms to interview in the very near future. This creates an opportunity time to begin discussions on the use of Woodbine facility. I'll start down with Trustee DeVivo, and we can let each trustee offer their thoughts on it on one at a time. So go right ahead.
Just a couple of things that I wrote down. I am looking forward to working with the architect that the village hires to design the village hall space, the offices, the meeting spaces for staff, and the public meeting places for our seniors, scouts, and sports teams and community groups. I really would like it if people in the community came to think that the new village hall building as a true community center and available for their meetings and their use. After we get going with the architect working on the design of the new village space, the Parks and Recreation will look forward to working with staff to develop an RFQ for the park plan and hiring a consultant that will work with the public, the board, staff, and Parks and Recreation to begin the process of designing a master park plan. That's how I see this all happening, but that's somewhere down the line.
I think we're all going to have fairly similar ideas of the use of the building. I mean, it's basically a administrative building that conducts the business of the village. Go ahead, Trustee Suisse.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to hear from staff, you know, in the near future of what their concepts of the office space is. I would also like the village in the next couple of weeks to have an open house for the residents to tour Woodbine so that the residents can give us some ideas, supply comment cards like we had the open house for 143rd Street. I think the outside space needs to be something for everyone, like a boundless park where everybody can enjoy it regardless of their ability, which would also be designed to be wheelchair and handicap accessible for children and even elderly residents with mobility issues. I was thinking of Garden Oasis Skate Park. I got a couple pictures here of skate park. Quite a few kids in the neighborhood have asked for something like that, and it doesn't seem too difficult to do. And to keep a lot of the cart paths for walking trails and some of the ponds for the fishing areas. I mean, that's just some general ideas.
Yeah, and we'll, like I go back to saying, we'll, when an architect is selected, we'll have this down, all these ideas, and I guess you just have to work with them to see if they can become a reality, because this is a retrofit versus a brand-new building.
Mayor, could I just interrupt for 1 second? Trustee Suisse had so many good ideas. It's late, I tried to write as fast as I could, but do me a favor, if you've got them, you look like you're reading from some notes that you had too. If you want to give those to us, that would be great, because I want to put them all together in one document so you can all look at them, because it's late and I don't, if you've got them or you want to give me an email on them, that would be awesome. The clerk and I would greatly appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you, sorry for the
Is that it, Trustee Suisse?
Yes, well, that's, yes,
Okay.
that's fine.
There's one coming down for you.
Trustee K. Janice?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. When I look at Woodbine, I see it as two separate projects. One, you got the physical plant of the building for the Village Hall, something that we could design inside to be very effective, efficient, proactive, and professional. Something long-term that will pay dividends towards this village from renting valuable space in Glen. Then you look at, so the design of the offices needs to be facilitated from a physical plant's study on what the architects deem and what staff deems to fit in for an office environment. As far as the property, it's very aesthetically pleasing. That's where I'm very excited about for our community. It's a place where moms and dads could bring little Jill and Johnny out there and fly a kite, walk the paths, and also for our sports and athletic teams that are very crowded in space could stretch their legs a little bit and not have to beg, borrow, and steal any extra property from out of our town to practice on. This is a great opportunity as a community gathers together as a centerpiece.
I just think should be incorporated in the building because I've seen, being around here a lot, quite often on a day-to-day basis, people would like to use this building, and when we get to Woodbine, the banquet facility area is almost twice the size of this village hall here. So I truly believe that area should be designed so that you can have, Boy Scouts, you can have the sports programs, hold their meetings there, you can have Girl Scouts, the whole social thing that the residents of the community can do, and at the same time you can shut off the building where the administrative offices are actually at, so that you can protect documents and securitize the building. One other thing that I think is a big component that we have an opportunity, because it'll be a very challenging room to work with, is where the, let's see here, it would be the east end of the building where the fireplace and the room is there with the bar and what have you. I think, I know I would like to see a senior component, maybe a senior community center, senior meeting area that they can go and coordinate events that they would like to have. I'm speaking from this because from experience, I have a senior community and I have an 8,000 square foot clubhouse, and it's constantly used by the seniors, and they have all kinds of activities that I'm sure the seniors of this community would love to have. And currently, they really don't have a good-sized meeting area. I've looked at this building, 1,000 ways from Sunday, and I think there should be, some senior component. There's not a whole heck of a lot. I mean, you can ask the public how they'd like to see an administrative building, but administrative buildings are pretty cut forward. To service, they have a building department, administration, the meeting rooms for when you have developers come in, the boardroom. Those are pretty standard things that every village hall has. But it doesn't mean that they can't have multiple uses. And that's what I'm going to try to concentrate on when I work with the architects, is to have some of this building have multiple uses for the public. And that's about it. The property outside, the golf course will go to the same type of process that we're doing right now. The RFQ process is going to move on to a interview process that will be a selection process, and the ideas will be relayed to the architect with renderings that come back and forth until we massage it to the way we want to get it. The outside, it's an unlimited opportunity. It's such a large property. It's 96 acres, not counting the building. So I would like to see expansion of the sports programs. They're in dire need of additional space. They're squatting on properties all over town. I think we need active and passive recreation. We have a unique situation with a golf cart path. It's like an already built walking path. We have ponds there that was mentioned before, possible fishing. The programs in this town, since I've been involved in them, have expanded greatly into lacrosse and volleyball and all kinds of additional programs. And because I was very much involved, of course, here in town, there's approximately 5 golf courses that within 10 minutes of Woodbine. So I think what we have to do is we have to put the kids first, the taxpayers first, and tell the golfers that there's other opportunities in town, but that the children, they don't have that opportunity. We spend tax dollars for this, and it should be for them, and it should be a combination of active and passive. Go right ahead, Margaret.
Okay, the Environment Committee had a meeting on March 4th, and so we discussed this, and I passed out a list. They were the ideas. They were just thrown out. But with what the Environment Committee is compelled to do is to follow their goals and objectives. And so all of these pertain to that, and also the green vision of the Homer Glen community, because there were benchmarks in the plan, and we have been keeping track of the things that we have met, that the village has met, and the Environment Committee has met, and the Parks and Recreation Committee has met. So it was a plan that was not put on the shelf, just to sit there. And this property, as large as it is, offers an opportunity for all taxpayers and to be able to use it, so that any one group is not forgotten. So I'm not going to read everything that's on here, but I'm saying that we develop with sustainability. We develop incrementally. I mean, you can't do everything all at once. And the elimination of the golf holes, or as the area is developed, and otherwise, you're leaving some. I mean, somebody even said, several people had said, well, why don't you leave a few, or why don't you leave 9 holes? I'm not really saying yes or no to that, but to completely not use what is available on the property as far as the sand, the ponds, and so forth would be a shame. This property offers a lot of adventure, a discovery area for children, a scientific area. All these things are things that the committee discussed, and this is the list. And whatever is practical, and people are very, very interested in something, a place where they can go. The library provides a lot with their new building. The Homer Township provides something for seniors and always have. And so we could augment a lot of things and work together and not be separate with the library, not be separate with the township. That's it.
Thank you, Trustee Yukich.
Mine's real simple. Everyone else pretty much said the same things I was. The only thing different that I would like to see is, obviously, we're going to work on the building first and then the property second. And I know we don't want to keep the golf course open to public when it becomes, when the village takes it over, because I agree, it's a losing proposition, and you just have to hire too many people. But I still would like to see if Jim Ludwig would stay on and see if we can just put him in a small section of the building or a trailer, just so that land is maintained, because otherwise we're gonna have a big cost keeping that maintained. And then this way we can still get the building done on the inside.
If I can address that real quick, the superintendent did come over and talk to me, and we did talk about numbers as to how he maintains it more in a pristine way for a golf course, which is more expensive, and what it would cost just to do the weed and feed and cut it once a week. He's interested in the job. He knows the intention is that Ludwig at this point is done as of December 31st of 14. So he has stepped forward to say he would like to be involved in maintaining the property. And he has done it for, I gotta say, about 6-7 years, something like that.
Okay. Let me just put it this way. If Jim Ludwig would agree to just working the course until we were ready to do the property, and he'd still have to pay rent. Obviously, you'd have to lower it down if you're not giving him the building for the banquets. Would that be something that would be feasible?
Run that past me one more time.
If after this year, obviously we're going to want to start building out in the building. If we could get it to where he had a small portion of the building that wouldn't have to be changed right now, so this way we can get out of this area, save some money on the rent, let him go ahead and still run the golf course and maintain it until we are ready to do the park area. It would cost us nothing. We'd still end up making some money.
Well, there really is no money in golf. Most of the places are struggling, and the thing about it is that we have immediate needs for these children. Let's just use the baseball and the football. They're on top of each other over there. Football's going down on Parker Road and sitting on 33C's property practicing. Parker Road is not safe to be having all those kids in there. The fact is that the storage facilities for both football and baseball are right there. I've been approached by every single sports entity, and I agree with Trustee Sabo, it shouldn't be for just one use, but there is an immediate use for this property if we just maintain it as we work on a plan and put them in sections to where they can temporarily use the property, no permanent improvements for practice.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, being on a committee that went through these RFQs, I'll tell you that we had some good feedback. You got 21 or 22 good quality organizations or companies that gave us some good information. I kind of looking at this a different way, I mean, we have some great comments. I'd like to see everything incorporated that we can in this, I think, but what's important for us to do right now is to identify what we want the architects to work on first, and that's the building.
Right.
If you look at the RFQs, and we will, I mean, he had just about all of them. He gave good municipal examples, and what I really liked about it is a lot of renovations on village halls and police facilities, police department facilities, and also a couple of them even mentioned that as they were planning it, not only what the immediate needs are, but they planned for future growth of the community for a room that was still in the building. So I think that's important. But I think too is, we all know what we want, what we would like to see, but I think what's important is to give the architects a clear view or vision of what we need them to do first, and that is the build-out. So if we know we need council chambers, we need a certain amount of offices, a building department, things of that nature, staff could probably come up with a list of that, the amount of offices, an IT room, a copy room, things of that nature, a kitchen. After that, the other ideas that everybody came up with, for seniors and for groups to go in there, that's wonderful, and that's what we need to do. After that, I like what Trustee DeVivo said. I think letting the Parks Committee work on the actual park itself. They've got some experience on it. They've got great people on the Parks Committee. Even when we did the Parks Master Plan, we had some great open houses, a lot of brainstorming. It was great, along with the other ideas we have here from Trustee Sabo and all of us for the outside. But I think hitting the ground running with the architects, what we need in the building, and then what we would like in the building, I think are two lists. Needing all the office space and then wanting the senior rooms, the kids' rooms, or meeting rooms, let them see how it fits, keeping in mind whatever we do, what do we have for expansion in the future? Once they get that underway, then the workshops, and let them start working on the park itself. But I think it's important to give them good, and I think they're gonna probably come to us and tell us, look, out of the 8 or 10 buildings we did, these 8 items were consistent with all of them, such as council chambers, things like that. I think they're gonna help us too, but we should give them some list of what we wanna see in the building first. After that, it's all gonna fall in place. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, well, is there any further comments? All right, then I'll close the workshop on Woodbine. Is there any old business?
Yes, Mayor, unfortunately, I have a couple comments.
Okay. All right, is there any further old business? Okay, is there any new business? Is there a motion to adjourn? First by trustee Costa, second by trustee Yukich. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Meeting adjourned.